Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are back. We are live, and you're tuned in to this week's Freaky Friday right here on TFRlive.com. Yes, there we go. How you doing, Mr. Lopez? We're back. We were here again yesterday, were we not? It's becoming a regular thing, this, Scotty. But today, Freaky Friday, we shift gears. We come back from being toe-to-toe with the men of Clown World and the half-men of Clown World. I'm already going toe-to-toe with some of them over on Twitter today, as you know. But how you doing, man? You looking forward to a little dive down the rabbit holes?
Hey, it's Freaky Friday. It's where we get into the woo. And
Have we got
there's
a
plenty
lot
of that to
woo
go around.
for you?
There's always plenty of woo to go around.
I've got the new hat on today, dude. I have given up. I was taking a little look at myself in the mirror today. I'm kind of rocking a whole kind of Tom Hanks look at a Castaway. I'm definitely seeing that kind of look coming on. I see that your facial furniture is growing nicely there, sir. It's looking good. Suiting you, Scott?
Yes. I've had the goatee before, but I've never tried to do the mustache thing. I've never been able to pull off the mustache, so I'm gonna try it.
I like it, man. I like it. I can see it taking shape, dude. You've got a good face.
You've
got a good face to hang a goatee on.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
Yes, and my mom.
You're looking quite. Your facial hair is coming in quite well. This stream is becoming quite toxic. There's a lot of toxic manliness starting to take shape here.
Yes, we've arrived. Myself and Scott are proudly toxic. We are the Toxic Avengers today because we're getting into all the woo. And I hope you can handle the woo because we have got a wide range of topics to go over today. Joe Joseph would probably say we have the smorgasbord in front of us, Scotty.
The smorgasbord, or as Jimmy would say, the cornucopia.
Oh. A cornucopia of conundrums, a morass of mysteries.
A morass. Yes.
We need to get Jimmy back one Freaky Friday. Will we get him back one Freaky Friday? Fancy it? I fancy it, dude.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to him during the week. Epic's in the chat room over at tfrlive.com. He speaks to Jimmy all the time. Jimmy was asking me, when we went to hang out on a streaming thing. So yeah, let's do it. We'll get the Jimbo for a Freaky Friday. We'll get the morass of mysteries. Yeah. We'll get the tablets of Thoth. I think that's how you pronounce that. I hate that word.
Yes.
I hate that word. I can't pronounce that one well at all. Thoth.
Now, yes, some people say Toth. I say Thoth.
I tried to say Thoth, but it never sounds right. We just say that kind of Egyptian bird-looking dude.
Yeah. Just
it works, right?
The bird guy.
The bird guy.
Egyptian bird guy.
Guy with the emerald tablets. That dude. Can't be many of them kicking about in ancient Egypt, right?
Oh, we can't call him bird guy. Bird person.
Bird person. Okay, we're woke. Yeah.
Yeah. Bird person.
No, we'll just demand that he's a man for the day. We're too toxic to go there, right?
Or just call him bird ma'am.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
Okay, then that's how we'll do it. So what we do on a Freaky Friday for all you cool people out there, if you want to get a shout out by yours truly, I'll give you a couple of seconds, maybe a minute or so to head on over to the home of Freaky Friday, which is of course Truth Frequency Radio, where we try to give you protection from deception. That's becoming a mission impossible these days with everything flying around.
A lot of deception going around. Lots of deception going around, Mr. Baker, on all fronts.
Don't you know, pump it up, the whites are going up.
Yes, indeedy. Thank you for that, DJ. So, with that said, if you're wanting your shout out, it's getting close. You have to head on over to the chat room right now, tfrlive.com/chat. And before I head there, Scotty boy, as you could see there just before we went on air, it's been a bizarro land day for me. You know how I'm usually the one casting the first stone and pointing the finger at all the various levels of clownery around me. Imagine me getting called a grifter and a clown by one of that lot. One of that crazy random letters of the alphabet, dude. Can you believe it? The absolute hypocrisy. Oh, dang. I'm a grifter. Shh, dude, what's happened, man? I can't believe it. Clown World has gone to a new level.
Your battles on Twitter are starting to become quite legendary, Kev. You seem to draw a lot of attention to yourself.
I tend to step into waters that really aren't for me, you know, all that kind of good stuff. But hey, it's all waiting for me when I get off today's stream. I'm sure there'll be 20 odd notifications. I will have the genius that is coming from that part of the internet to explain to me all the errors of my ways. I will need to repent. I will need to hashtag trust the scam. And with that said, let me get over to our chat room where it's scam free and LARPless. Yes, indeed. So first up, you've got Sophia the robot. I know, there's not many chat rooms out there that has their own AI robot, but we do because we roll differently. But then we move into what I would hope to be the human participants in the chat room. Maybe some Wookiees, I don't know. Maybe people identify as other species. We're cool with that here. I mean, Scott, we're the most woke guys in the world. So we've got Bam in there. We've got Cold Brews, all one. Armand, big shout out to you, Armand. Thank you for yesterday. Buzzacino, we have S Virtue. That sounds almost social justice warriors, doesn't it, Scott? S Virtue, almost, you know. Any excuse to play it. I know. Carol Motzinger's in there. Big shout out to you, Carol. V-Lash, Polynation. Oh, Scotty. Polynation came on during the weekend. Mic drop moments throughout the show. What a guy, dude. What a guy. We've also got CJ Rich in there. Robofish. Love that. Before long, it probably will be Robofish. It'll be Robo everything else. We've got Bellamonte. That's a cool name. The aforementioned. That's been an epic journey, man. Brett Phillips. Oh, hang on. Get your cork hat on, Scotty. We're going all the way down under for Ozzy Anzac. He's back in the chat room. Long time no see, brother. Excellent. We've got Daryl in there as well. Ruthie, Brave Citizen. We've got people listening on iHeart, TalkStream Radio, TuneIn Live. I don't know. There's that many formats and platforms to listen on. Wherever you are, whenever you are, let's get into it, shall we, Mr. Scott? Where will we start today? Will we start today on a similar theme from last week? Or you look like you've got something. Go for it, man. Go for it. Launch it in.
No. I was just about to ask you what do you got on the table, because
well, I was thinking.
Compare nothing. Yeah. I am fruitless. Today.
You see, Scott, all your fruit is in your head. You just need to turn up, sir. It's all in there with you. I provide the material. You add your woo. It's a match made in podcast heaven. And last week, I don't know about you, but it sounds a bit weird that the takeaway from a 3-hour show with guys talking about everything from quantum physics to fairies and goblins and beyond, that the one thing I remember about last week is that revelation that perhaps the most intelligent creature on this planet, and perhaps other planets, is the humble cow. Remember how we got into that? I don't even know how it came about, Scott.
It kicked off when we were covering the story of the scientists studying farm animals predicting earthquakes.
That's right.
And they attached all the sensors to cows, and they noticed that they were making movements about 24 hours before a big earthquake and all of that stuff. And then that just led into our madness. We descended into bovine debauchery after that.
Bovine debauchery. If that term has ever been used before, that's class. I think it's brilliant that you've just come out with that. But yeah, we'll go bovine. And usually there's a kind of given name in the world of the woo when it comes to the examinations that sometimes our cattle are put under. So, Scott, you came up with a really unique kind of handle, a new name, so that we can skirt past any prying ears of the algorithm.
Yeah, the algorithm doesn't tend to like the second word in
It
this.
doesn't like cattle M.
Cattle.
It doesn't like that M word because it's obviously gotten I suppose I get it.
Yeah, it doesn't like the M word after cattle, so we're just gonna call it, you know, we'll just say bovine autopsies.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll just call
bovine examinations.
Yes, bovine experimentations.
Exactly. So we're going to start there this week. So we're going to talk about bovine examinations, the files, the police, and the controversial theories. So Scott, before I get going on this, then, what's your kind of when it comes to this topic? Where do you lie on it? What do you think?
Ooh.
Where does your imagination go to? Hey, thank you, Ozzy.
Ozzy and Zach still fighting the good fight. Smiley
Absolutely.
face. Love you all.
We love you right back, Cobber. Yes, we do. Oh, absolutely. So then, Scotty, what do you think, man?
Oh, this is it's tough. It's like it's hard for me to just kind of break for one side. You know what I mean? Because like there could be many different things going on, and I don't think you can like attribute all of them to one specific thing. That's the issue. I don't know, man. Like, it's tough. I'm like, I honestly, I can't say I can really point to like one specific thing. I mean, maybe we're looking at some kind of a cryptid that's going around attacking these things. Maybe we're dealing with, well, you know, the classic alien experimentation. Experiments, yes. Maybe we're dealing with some kind of strange natural phenomenon that we just don't even understand. I don't know, man. I don't know. All I know
over in the TFR chat room, Scott. Cloning.
Cloning, but why? Like, but like, what would be the purpose?
I've thought about the whole kind of government thing before. I would imagine they've got like access to animals where they wouldn't have to like.
Like why would it be necessary for the government, you know, like some government group to go out and do something to some random farmer's cattle when they could easily obtain cattle themselves, purchase the cattle, right? Or have a facility where they're raising the cattle themselves and do any of this stuff. So that makes no sense to me either. I mean, if you got to pin me in a corner, I think I'm gonna have to say cryptid. I'll go cryptid with this. There's too many people that go with the whole alien theory, so I'll be the I'll break from that and I'll say we're dealing with a mysterious cryptid that's going around doing this to the cattle.
The Shermans that owned Skinwalker Ranch, the incident that they had with the large wolf type animal, and I call it a wolf type animal because usually a normal wolf, it wouldn't take 6 shots to put it down, you know. And this thing, it disappeared when they were chasing it as well, and it was trying to get to the cattle. So again, there's like anecdotal evidence to kind of support what you're saying there.
I mean, there's a lot of similarities between the bovine examinations and
loving it.
Yeah, the bovine examinations and say like livestock found after a chupacabra attack, right? You know, like completely drained of blood, A lot of that stuff. The thing that is really odd to me is the laser precision and removal of organs and stuff like that. Now that is like, I mean, if we're talking about some supernatural cryptid or something, then they probably have some kind of weird abilities that we don't even understand. Maybe they can do something like that, right?
Yeah.
But still, it would suggest that possibly that there's some kind of technology involved in this as well.
Interesting you say that, Scott, because I've talked about Skinwalker a lot, obviously. The episode with the cattle examination that happens in that. At the time when I watched it, we didn't have the study that told us that cows are really, really like sensitive to energies and frequencies and stuff like that. And in Skinwalker, it all kind of starts with the cows being really, really agitated. Sometimes they all kind of corral together in one small corner of the field, no reason. But then the day that the thing happened to the actual cow in that program, there's a craft that's pictured. I don't know if it's ours or theirs. Hard to tell. It's just something you can't identify. But the cow definitely seems to be reacting to that. And the other cows, meanwhile, have gone to the furthest possible away part of the ranch, the part they never go to. So they've been picking up, again, whatever their antenna, whatever their bodies are sensitive to, Scott. They're picking up when whatever it is that comes into the area to maybe do bad stuff to them, they know it before it even gets there, you know?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, we obviously can see that they detect energies or they feel something 24 hours before an earthquake. So if they're picking up on like piezoelectric discharges coming from the ground, or this increased stress and this energy building up,
and that's what killed it. That's exactly what killed it, because the vet came out and he explained that the immune system of a cow, it's always having to work super hard, right? And when it's stressed, when it's scared, that trauma is enough to lower the immune system just a little. And what actually killed the cow was a violent case of pneumonia. It actually totally filled up the lungs in the space of hours, Scott. So whatever was going on, whatever it was reacting to, scared it to death.
It traumatized it enough to where its immune system dropped, and it immediately succumbed to whatever was already lying dormant in its body.
Quite interesting as well. Speaking more generally, read between the lines, folks, but just think what fear does to the immune system then, if it's doing that to a cow. Just saying. But let's get into the article here. And Scott, reading between the lines there, I think people can.
We'll have to touch upon that maybe after this, because that's a good. It's a good point to bring up.
So let's see what it says here, because there might be other theories that we've never thought of before. I haven't read this article. It's from Nick Redfern. That's why really it needs no reading beforehand. There's no doubt at all that one of the most disturbing mysteries in the field of the unexplained is that of what have become known as cattle examinations. Reports of poor farm animals attacked, passing away, and dissected date back to the 1960s. Now, who or what is the culprit very much depends on those theories you adhere to. Now, Scott, before I even go any further, very modern phenomenon then, according to this. And I've never looked back historically. I've never looked back to see if there's like ancient cases of animals being tampered,
I was about to say, or is it?
Or is it?
Or is it modern phenomenon? Is it just is it something that's been going on and maybe farmers just never reported it before? You know what I mean?
Like the 40s, the 50s, it's not exactly the kind of thing you would go shouting about. People are going to think you're a lunatic. You might just write it off. Just better off not talking about that. Get rid of it,
Yeah, I mean, and even then, I would say if you're a farmer or whatever, I mean, you're going to come across dead livestock. I mean, that's just what's going to happen, and maybe maybe it's just been a case of where they see it and they go, oh, that's weird, but they never think nothing of it, and they never bother reporting it. And then finally, like, maybe somebody just noticed the actual strangeness of one of these incidents, and it kind of blew up from there. But no, I think possibly this phenomenon has probably been occurring for a long time. We just never was really pushed into like mainstream kind of it wasn't given a bunch of attention and pushed out there into the public consciousness, I guess you could say.
Interesting. I think I might need to take a look, see if there's any older accounts. It's quite a weird one, that, right? Never thought about that. So it says, who or what? On you go.
Like look up old stories of like farmers and strange like animal deaths or something like that, and just see if some of the stories kind of match up with what would be considered today, the cattle examinations.
The cattle examinations, yes. So then, for some, the mutes, I like that. We'll call it muting. I like that. The mutes are the work of the occultists. Now, I would hazard a guess that some are. Absolutely. Why not? I don't think that we can rule out that kind of thing in every single case. You've got to take this case by case kind of. Yeah, I think so, Scott. You can't like throw a broad blanket over it.
That's why I didn't want to be pinned in one specific.
That's why I tried That's why I tried to do it to you anyway.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going with cryptid, but hey, yeah, I'm sure there are quite a few of these that are, crazies out there dabbling in the occult and doing rituals and doing animal sacrifice out there, and yeah, that's definitely on the table as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and even if that's the case, that's still pretty damn creepy because you got a bunch of people running around killing livestock. And
exactly, dude. Exactly.
Kill animals. That usually leads to going beyond that and moving to humans. So
not good. So if we go on here, it says others will say it's all down to the government agencies looking for dangerous and deadly viruses in the food chain. And there's the scenario of the culprits being nothing less than extraterrestrial in nature. So the mystery still remains. With that said, today I'm going to share with you two of the strangest cases of all time. Hey, to all you 76ers out there. 1976, there was a wave of both cattle. Yes, Scott, it's a great year. That's the year yours truly came into the world.
Interesting that the year that Mr. Baker.
Blame me. It's all my fault.
His arrival, that there was a rash, a spate of cattle examinations.
It's weird, dude. There's so many of us. It's almost a statistical anomaly. The amount of people that listen to this show that are men, that are 76ers, were toxic. It's a little disconcerting, to be honest with you. It's a little creepy in itself, Scott.
You know why? It's because it was on the 200th anniversary of our
that day. Yep.
Yes, it was that day. You've got that.
I'm like the ghost of Washington, man. I'm back to do it again. 1776 worldwide and all that. Oh, no, that's Alex Jones. I can't go that route.
You were born with freedom in your blood, Kev.
That's freedom. And Scott is going to put me in the Braveheart movie. I can't wait. It's been my lifelong dream to be riding on the horse as William Wallace, and I'm going to be there, ain't I, Scott?
Before we continue, I'm gonna fill the people in because this might kill my video card.
Is it that bad? Is it that bad, dude? Is it learning away?
I'm gonna do a proper deep fake, and I'm gonna have to let it train for almost 24 hours probably. I'm just gonna have to let my video card run balls to the wall.
Let's face it, there's plenty training material of my ugly noggin out there on YouTube.
No, we're gonna do this proper. Like maybe after a show or something, I'm gonna have you like get on cam so I can get a bigger facial pic, a bigger picture of you.
Lying in
And
your beds. Ah, I'll do it for you, dude. I've got it. I've got it.
I'll have you talk. I'll have you kind of turn your head side to side so I can get some of the, and then people through the magic of blah, 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 AI. I'm going to deep fake Kev's face on Mel Gibson in Braveheart.
At last, the Scotsman will be atop the horse. At last, Scott. Ah, don't you love the technology? We're gonna be back after the break. Can you believe it? It's sneaked up already. Oh, it's gonna be one of these shows. Missing time is gonna happen here. We'll be back after the break. Don't go anywhere. There we go. There we go. Now, at the start of the show, you might have noticed Scott had a big line down his face. It wasn't like I was sticking two Scots together. It's Skype. It kind of went tits up, but we're good.
Went wonky. It went a little wonky.
It's Skype. It's allowed to go wonky. It does that from time to time. I want to thank all of you crazy people out there in the chat room. We've got Edward, Leslie, Connie, Polly, Quick, AJ, the dude, Luna. Big shout out to you. I don't know if it's Auntie Luna. It's more Sister Luna. It's not like you're like way older than me or anything, Luna. I'm probably older than you. So Sister Luna. I seen Brother Donny out there as well. And of course, next Saturday, we are going, we're going back down under. We're going walkabout again into the ancient woo. This is, these shows are some of the best received shows that I've had the privilege of being a part of in a long time. People are resonating with this old world information meeting the new world. You know, it's brilliant, Scott.
It's because nobody has really dived into the Australian woo, man. You know what I mean? Like I had been saying for a long time, it was just kind of overlooked,
untapped.
It was overlooked, untapped, and there was so much there, man, to look into that. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me in the least that those are some of your biggest received shows, because it's information that nobody has really touched that much, you know?
So it's a big honor for me to be doing those shows as well. And big honor. We've got Quick, Rick Anderson, big shout out to you. We have got Katrina, 76 summer. Yeah, my mum tells me about that all the time. Not a good time to have been, what do you call it, carrying around yours truly in her womb. Now, Rick's asking, how can he get a membership again? I am in the process of switching them on, because this here, the Freaky Friday, this is like the core kind of topics that we're going to be doing here on KBS2. We're going to be algorithm friendly as much as we can. We've still got the TFR show during the week where we can go toe to toe and say anything we like. And a big huge thank you to Chris and Cherie Geo for giving us a platform where we can do that, because it's few and far between on the internet where you can speak freely anymore. We know that. So yeah, over the weekend, Rick, we should have that sorted. But yeah, no rush. All good in the hood. We'll just keep having fun in the meantime. But a big thank you to everyone that's supporting the show. That's the kind of thing that the Q-bot was having a little go at me for, because I'd called him a grifter. And because I take donations, I got accused of being a grifter too, but I need to go back and tell him there's one big difference. I don't promise people I'm saving the world. I don't blow smoke up their tuchus. I tell them what you see is what you get. I know very little at all, so really, I'm not dishonestly asking for anything. And that, Mr. Scott, that there is the difference between the LARP and the life. Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yes. Ooh.
I'm watching the clock.
Yes.
I'm watching the clock very closely here, so we can get back on time. Yes, indeed. So yes. So folks, I'll come back into the chat room every break, okay? And we'll try and give you a little shout out. And yeah, here we go. This is where we might glitch out again. Stand by. Oh, I tell you what,
Ooh.
he's feeling a bit frisky tonight in there, isn't he?
Very, very, very ruckus, very rowdy.
I think it's your
Wookiee.
turn to feed him tonight. I don't like him when he's in that mood, by the way. Don't like him when he's giving it all that kind of... we need Andy to give us even more vocabulary, don't we?
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
Oh no, Wookiee, that now we know that's not the Wookiee, we know that's that other character. The Wookiee will never, ever go down that route. So, Scott.
Still hairy, but, you know.
One segment down, dude. Now, come on.
Yeah.
That was fast. And we haven't even got through the cow examination yet. I'm not even up to my elbow in cow examination. Shall we get back to it? Shall we?
Yeah.
Somebody's got, it's a dirty job. It's a dirty job. But somebody's got to talk about the mutes. I like that.
Mutes, I do. I like
Where
that.
the heck did that come from? Dulcie? I've no idea. So, okay, right, we need to go back. Have I lost my story? I think I have. Hang on.
No.
No, I can find it again, dude. It's okay. I've got it all. I've got it all sussed out here, man. Here we go. I must have clicked on something on the story. There it is. There it is. We're back. We're back.
It's the topics. It's the topics they don't want you to know about, Kev.
Sweating there. The sweat underneath my hat's going to be running down at my eyes in a minute. Oh, the pressure's on. So then, here we go, folks. We got to the summer of 76. And of course, that kind of spurred a bit of nostalgia in the old boy here. So in 76, apart from it heralding the birth of me, oh man, how narcissistic did that sound? But I'll go with it. There was a wave of both cattle, Scott, new stuff, and equine examinations. Horses as well.
Bovine and equine.
Yes, in the Rio Arriba County, New Mexico. Arriba. That's probably really culturally inappropriate, but hey, that's how we roll here.
Andale.
They were carefully investigated and documented by police officer Gabe Valdez of Espanola. And Officer Valdez soon found himself at the heart of a really crazy puzzle. One of the most bizarre events occurred in June 1976, as Valdez's files demonstrate. So Valdez said in his papers, investigations around the area revealed that a suspected aircraft of some type had landed twice, leaving 3 pod marks positioned in a triangular shape. Now the diameter of each pod was 14 inches. Emanating from the 2 landings were smaller triangular shaped tripods, 28 inches and 4 inches in diameter. Now, investigation at the scene showed that these small tripods had followed the cow for approximately 600 feet. Tracks of the cow showed where she had struggled and fallen. The small tripod tracks were all around the cow. Other evidence showed that grass around the tripods, as they followed the cow, had been scorched. Also, a yellow oily substance was located in 2 places under the small tripods. Now, this substance was submitted to the state police lab, and the lab was unable to detect the contents of the substance. A sample of the substance was submitted to a private lab, and they were unable to analyze the substance due to the fact that it disappeared, or disintegrated, or the Men in Black came for it. Skin samples were analysed by the police, or the state police lab, and the medical examiner's office. It was reported that the skin had been cut with a sharp instrument. Now let's stop there, Scott. This, for me, is already turning into like the most compelling cattle examination story I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, this one, this is where you got to start going, okay, so, I said I wasn't going to be pinned in a corner, but I left everything open. I mean, this one, it sounds like alien, I guess. I mean, what else could you chalk it down to? A craft following the cow, and
it's a heck of an elaborate hoax to pull off, eh? If it is just like G-Men or, you know, Department of Energy. I don't know who does all this wacky stuff. You know, I don't want to pin the tail on the donkey, so to speak. But
Now, you know, another thing that had crossed my mind is maybe not so much aliens examining the cattle as opposed to them landing or flying over and the cattle like happening to be there, you know, because obviously if you were going to land a craft, you would want to do it in an open field. And what animal is located in an open field? A cow. I mean, you know, you're gonna run into cows, right?
Mhm.
And are we talking about like these cows dying because they're exposed to the exotic propulsion system of these craft, right? So as these things get close, does it cause like the blood to boil away due to radiation? Are we talking about some kind of like ion or particle propulsion where these ions or these particles are being ejected out of the craft in a very, very pinpoint specific sort of way, almost like how Andy carved the star hole, right, in the rock. You focus, yeah, you focus water. You're basically focusing water molecules into a very, very precision point, right? So if this aircraft or if this craft of some sort, let's just say this alien craft of some sort is flying over and it's got this exotic propulsion and it happens to move across one of these cows, then that could explain why you see cuts in the cows that look like laser precision, right? And like I said, if the blood could have just merely been boiled away due to the high amounts of energy being emitted from the bottom of the craft. I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing out ideas. You know, it just could be, you know, cows at the wrong place at the wrong time, gets blasted by the propulsion of these aircraft, and that's what happens. You know, it's like standing behind if you're standing behind a jetliner and it turns its engine on, you're gonna get blown away, or you know, you're gonna get burned or whatever. But
I was
we're dealing with
watching
exotic technology.
Unsolved Mysteries, Scott, on Netflix, and the majority of the cases are real crime, quite gruesome, but mysteries unsolved, obviously. But there's one case that goes over, and it's an alien abduction type case, a mass sighting in Massachusetts back in the, I think it was the late 50s, 60s time. And the reports there, and there was like, Scott, this was crazy. It was all like right up and down Massachusetts. And reports of this thing coming down, a kind of pod, your classical kind of silver disc, landing in various fields, just going around the fields. Now, are they taking soil samples? They didn't mention anything to do with cattle in this incident, you know, but there seems to be something. They're coming down. It feels very, to me, science-y, what they're up to, if that makes any sense, right?
No, I see. I mean, like I said, I was just throwing out other ideas.
No, big time, because who knows? Everything's in play here.
And like I said, that really doesn't explain the missing organs and kind of like surgical procedure like things that you see in a lot of these. And so, yeah, I don't know, man.
It's weird that it happens so predominantly with the cattle. Hey.
Public service announcement. PPP Kev is humble but brilliant.
Well, being humble, I can't say that, but I'll take it. Thank you very much, Leslie. Much appreciated. I want to get back into this because this is really dang.
Good story.
Yeah,
this is a good
very good one. I think Nick wasn't lying when he said two of the most interesting cases. We're only a bit into the first one here. So 3 days later, Valdez went for a face-to-face discussion about all of this with Dr. Howard Burgess of the New Mexico-based Sandia laboratories. Now, the plan was to have the immediate vicinity checked for radiation. Now,
I was just about to say, Sandia Labs is the place where they were manufacturing nuclear weapons.
interesting because, again,
Time.
I'll reference Skinwalker. When they were like testing the bombs down in Nevada, Scott, it shows you the way that the wind was going, and the fallout, it did track up there towards Skinwalker, so they know about deposits potentially of radioactive material. But when that incident happens with the cow and they initially find that it's fallen over and it's passed away, they've got things called trimeters. They're looking for radiation. In fact, it goes all the way up to the gamma kind of radiation. Various things, but one of the scientists, Travis Taylor, his meter was going off the scale, and at the exact same time, the security for the site, his mobile phone, and he showed you it on camera, and it was dialing numbers faster than would be humanly possible even if you tried. And it was like going from screen to screen. It was like touching. Something was interfering with the phone. Something was setting off the trimeter. And that cow, that was like moments after anything had happened. Linda Moulton Howe said that possibly this is the best science that's ever been kind of recorded around one of these cases because, like I say, moments after it happened, they've got kit in there, they're testing it, to the point where they walked away from it, Scott. It was like, that's too dangerous, that level of ionizing radiation. We need to get away from there.
Wow.
That's
strange.
That just makes it even weirder, right?
Yeah, and then that goes back to what I was talking about with like exotic propulsion systems and stuff like that, where obviously you're seeing high levels of radiation being emitted from whatever it is that's causing this. It creates a highly radioactive environment around it. So I don't know, man.
Very, very, very weird. So, one last thing about that one, Skinwalker, which I think it's very, very interesting. They leave that cow, that cattle out in the field as you do, and normally you would get coyotes or whatever, the wildlife, they would come and they would get rid of that, right? Not this thing. No animals went near it. It's almost like it was, no, that's toxic. And the other animals knew they knew not to be going near it.
Yeah, they could detect that it wasn't right, that something wasn't right around that, and they're like, nope,
that's weird.
I'm not touching.
Dang, dude, dang. Oh, it's gonna be one of these freakies. So then, it turned out that the radiation level in the location was no less than twice above normal. Valdez's thoughts on the matter? It is the opinion of this writer, that radiation findings are deliberately left at this scene to confuse investigators. Now, matters were nowhere near finished. Valdez's files make that abundantly obvious. There was also evidence that the tripod marks had returned and removed the left ear. Tripod marks were found over Mr. Gomez's tire tracks of the original visit. And the left ear was intact when Mr. Gomez found the cow. And the cow had a 3-month-old calf, which has not been located since the incident. This appears strange, since a small calf normally stays around the mother even though the mother has passed away. So without a doubt, a grisly and disturbing situation.
They came back. Whatever it was came back and took the ear of the already examined cow.
And this is a police
they
officer's report, Scott, right? This isn't like somebody from the now very toxic MUFON. It's we won't go there. Oof, that's a story and a half. We'll go there one day. But oh dear Lord. But this is a cop, Scott, a cop. He's writing down this kind of thing. That, again, people can make what they want of it, but it gives it a whole level of credibility that you don't usually get, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a cop, there's a lot on the line. If you come out and start, you know, getting into this sort of thing, that usually that's kind of how you lose your job. And they go, "Oh, Officer Barb Brady over there is kind of getting a little loony. He got a couple screws loose." You know, he's talking about aliens.
You ain't going to get the promotion when you're up against guys that haven't got the alien tag, you know?
Yeah, there's nothing to benefit, let's just say, if you're a police officer talking about this kind of stuff, especially back then, I would say.
So
as well,
it goes into the aforementioned occult groups. It says, as to the matter of satanic groups and the likes of coyotes being responsible, Valdez recorded, both have been ruled out due to expertise and preciseness and the cost involved to conduct such a sophisticated and secretive operation. It should also be noted that during the spring of 1974, when a tremendous amount of cattle were lost due to heavy snowfalls, the carcasses had been disposed of by predators. Oh, here we go. Now, these carcasses did not resemble the carcasses of the examined cows. Investigation has narrowed down these theories, which involve 1. An experimental use of vitamin B12, and 2. The testing of the lymph node system. And during this investigation, an intense study has been made of 3. What is involved in germ warfare testing, and the possible correlation of these 3 factors: germ warfare, use of vitamin B12, testing of the lymph node system. Now, Scott, again, I'm not an expert on how like it all works, but I'd imagine it can't be hard for the Department of Agriculture or whoever's doing these tests to get a farm that, you know, they're not going to go and start losing cows. They'll do a deal, you know, they'll get paid money for their cows. It's not going to be hard for them to source cows.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why would you just go out and like randomly do this at some farmer's ranch or something like that, right? When you could easily get a cow, like they could easily get a cow to Plum Island, right? Because Plum Island was what was around at the time, right? And you could easily get a cow to Plum Island and do all your experimentation and everything right there at the facility, or, you know, or even just have a separate location set up run by the government. You know, a government run cow, cow farm that is specifically made for it. So I don't get why they would go through all these lengths to just randomly do this to people's cows.
And what department is that? I mean, one day you're working with the government, the next day you're told, right, you need to report to that office over there. What is it they do over there? I don't know. They don't really talk much.
Imagine being that guy, and they're like, oh, okay, you've been assigned to.
There's your tripod.
You've been assigned to the bovine examination department. You know what?
There's plutonium over there. Remember to sprinkle some anywhere you go.
Yeah.
We've never had any whistleblowers coming forward saying that they worked on the cattle examination team that the deep state have or anything like that. I've never heard of that yet. Give it time. They'll be,
You've thrown it out there, Kev. Hey, if anybody out there has any experience in this area of government work, please contact us. We'd like to know.
I like it. Another equally unsettling case surfaced in the same area in 1978, and Officer Valdez recorded it all. This 4-year-old Hereford and Black Angus, oh, what a burger, Sorry. Native cow was found lying on the left side with rectum. It damn near killed him. And its sex organs, tongue, and ears all missing. Pinkish blood from illegible. So pinkish blood from something was visible. And after 2 days, the blood still had not coagulated. Now, that's quite interesting. Left front and left rear leg were pulled out of their sockets, apparently from the weight of the cow, which indicates that it was lifted and dropped back to the ground. Now, the ground appeared and... Oh, sorry, the ground around and under the cow was soft and showed indentations where the cow had been dropped. So 600 yards away from the cow were the 4-inch circular indentations similar to the ones found at the Manuel Gomez Ranch on, or was that April 24, 78. This cow had been dead approximately, can't tell how many hours, and was too decomposed to extract samples. Now, this is a first in a series of examinations in which the cow's legs are broken. Previously, the animals had been lifted from the brisket with a strap. And these mutilated animals all dehydrated rapidly in 1 or 2 days. And the mystery surrounding those 1970s era cases was never solved. Today, thankfully, cattle examinations are nowhere as prevalent as they were in the 1970s. And this is one of those mysteries that all of us should hope goes away for good. So, let's think about this. Let's go alien, Scott, right? Was there some species in and around our planet back in these years, some scientific type entities doing tests for a 10-year study on something down? I'm just trying to think, why would it be a window of time that it seemed to have been concentrated in? And then it kind of died back a bit, you know?
Yeah, what if they were just kind of passing through, right?
Why
Passing
not?
through the solar system, doing some scientific research, and maybe that's why you see this time frame where there was a lot of alien abductions and cattle examinations. You know, and then as they moved past our solar system, you know, to continue on their scientific research, and you know,
if we haven't killed ourselves in 1,000 years, Scott, maybe even 100, right? And if we crack, you know, long space travel and things, absolutely, there would be scientific endeavors, missions, ships. I'm not talking about Elon Musk, you know, going for touring the universe, cataloguing and everything, but right now we're at the very start, the cusp of something. Big changes coming when it comes to space flight and the cost and everything. This is how it starts. So if there are more ancient civilizations out there, then why can't there be scientists from a whole host of planets out doing whatever they're doing? Some log the planets. I have no idea, dude. The whole mechanical thing, the tripods, again, hints at a more mechanical than a biological entity that's traveling vast distances. Something we've said we would have to do, right?
What if these are just AI probes?
You knew where I was going. Exactly, dude. They just come, record, they do their things.
Yeah, and then it would explain why there's like no rhyme or reason, right? Just randomly pick out a cow, test it.
They know everything about us. They engineered us a couple of 1,000 years ago. Come on.
Randomly abduct a human, test them. You know, maybe it does recognize the difference. You know, it's able to determine that, okay, these humans on the planet, they're we're supposed to be the most intelligent species on the planet, right? We're the most evolved. We've reached a level of technological advancement that no other species on the planet has.
Doesn't feel like that when you look around the internet.
Exactly. That's why I was like, we're supposed to be. But,
yeah, allegedly.
But allegedly. But then that would explain why maybe they would go the more abduction route with humans, right? Because they would really kind of wanted to poke and prod and dig a little deeper into our biology as opposed to, say, the cow.
1 hour down, 2 to go. Don't go anywhere. There we go.
Look. If I'm a alien species, or I'm an AI coded by an alien species, or whatever, I'm just going to look at it from their perspective as being an alien, as being coming across a planet that is teeming with life. There is like this one species on the planet that has reached like this technological advancement. And what would I do in regards to like studying everything, or doing like this research or whatever? Well, first of all, you would want to look into the biology and makeup of the apex species of the planet, which would be us, I guess you could say. But then I'm sure, like, if these aliens are, scanning the surface and looking at all of our activity and seeing like our behavior, or our behavior patterns and stuff like that, then I'm sure they would want to know what our diet consists of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that these aliens would notice that we have gigantic commercial livestock farms, CAFO facilities with just thousands and thousands and thousands of cattle. And so I guess logic would dictate, okay, you have this apex species on the planet that has reached this technological development. What do they consume? What's their diet? Well, we eat a lot of cows. We eat a lot of cows. And it's not just burgers. I mean, beef is in all kinds of stuff. I mean, beef products are everywhere, so then you would just have to naturally assume that they would want to study our food.
Maybe they're the keepers of the replicator. They need to be able to know exactly how to reproduce the burgers that we cook here on Earth. For anyone who fancies them on deep space travel, I've seen Star Trek. I know how it works.
But even then, on top of that, why just single out cattle? Why weren't they studying chicken?
Exactly.
Why didn't we find,
exactly, dude. Why not every animal? Cats, dogs.
Or pig mutilations.
Us lying in the field. Why aren't they leaving us lying in the field? I mean, they've got they treat the cow with they've got no care in the world. It's cruel as hell, right?
I think I'm going to go with what I went with last year. Or not last year, last week.
Feels like last year, right?
Yeah. You know what? I think the alien species, they don't have a way to predict earthquakes.
Hey!
They don't know.
They need one in the craft to detect gravitational waves so they can ride it. That's what it is. It's not a gyroscope or any fancy technology. It's a big cow that flies their ship, man.
They've got a cow just suspended in this tank.
It's got like a thing coming out of it. It's plugged in, man. It's like cyber cow.
It's detecting all the gravitational waves and all of the strange wormhole quirks that they start coming across. And they're like, hey.
Yep, and there's an octopus that controls it because they're aliens as well, remember?
So they're like, look, the cow's getting rowdy in the tank back there. We need to go warp speed max. Do it. Hit it.
Yes, indeed. Big shout out to my friends John and Lee. They're actually having a premiere right now. You see, no other YouTuber would tell you there's something else on right now, but I'll give you the opportunity. They're on now. They are absolutely brilliant. But we've got 2 hours to go on Freaky Friday, so I'd love it if you could hang out with me. I'll stand by, stand by.
How dare you?
Yay, there we go. Wow, that one's the biggest Wookiee of them all. Hour number 2 on today's Freaky Friday. The number 1 abnormal paranormal show right here on TFR, on any network. In the world, and beyond the veil into the other worlds as well. There is no show to rival the kind of woo that myself and Mr. Lopez bring here weekly. And we're getting into the cow woo this week, Scott.
Yeah.
Big cow, big cow. Yeah.
Well, whatever we started last week has really turned into something. Who knew that there were so much bovine shenanigans afoot?
It feels almost like the cow is approaching the status of, dare I say it, the traffic cone. It's getting up there, dude. It's a part of the show. It's becoming a fixture here, right? Because during the break, we've got a lot of Australian listeners. Love doing the Australian shows, and this isn't confined to the US. Predominantly, we hear about cases of cattle mutilations happening in the US. But when you were talking, I was thinking about the farming, the ranching that goes on down in Australia as well. Big farming, big ranches, right?
Big cattle country, Australia. Because it's the only other, I would say, it's the only other country that has a very similar, I would say, geographic conditions that are ripe for raising cattle, right? I mean, there's a lot of areas of Australia that you couldn't tell the difference between that and the middle of the United States. You know, just flat ranch country.
Yep.
And there's also a lot of really hardy Australian cowboys out there, man. They like to come from Australia and do rodeo bull riding here in the US. There's a lot of and there's also a lot of people that come from Australia and do storm chasing here in the US as well, because they get very similar storms in Australia, but it's just something with the way the kind of the dynamics are down there. They always get really close to making a tornado, but they never actually really make tornadoes.
Dang, dude.
So it's always like right on the edge, and so they get a little taste of it, but they want the real deal. So they come to the United States to go storm chasing. But
right,
yeah,
I've been told as well. I've been told as well that it's not a ranch in Australia; it's a station. Yeah. Yeah. You see,
okay.
we're even learning the nomenclature as well. We'll get it sussed here, dude. Yeah.
To know, good to know. But yeah, there's a lot of similarities between us and our Aussie brethren out there.
Well,
so
we used to have them. It's not just the cows either; it's the sheep, because they love their sheep farming too. I'm smiling because everyone knows the jokes with sheep and Scotsmen. But nobody will be surprised to learn that one summer, well, it was more, I think it was like Easter time. I'd kind of working on one of the...
Shout out to Jimmy in the chat. We were just talking about you, Jimmy.
Hey, there he is, the man in the hat. The man, he'd look good with the cork hat, wouldn't he, the Australian one? Definitely, he'd rock that hat. Not as cool as my hat right now, but yeah, they do a lot of the sheep farming, and I remember the year we were doing it. I was like young, maybe started secondary school, but you'd have to get up there at like the crack of doom, as I called it. It was like crazy time, middle of the night stuff. But there would be the year I done it, it was a New Zealander and an Australian guy. They were going round all the farms, kind of shearing the sheep, and oh, dude, it was horrendous. They put you in this big, huge bag. It was like, I don't know, maybe 50 foot tall. You'd be in that bag and you'd be stomping down the wool, and eventually you'd go out and, crazy. But I tell you what, dude, the food that you got, oh man, the farmer would cook you breakfast and lunch. And I was too young to be drinking at the time. I was like a wee guy. But I would imagine if I'd been of age, it would have been a wild time, because those Australians, dang, dude, they can shift some beer. Oh, big time.
They definitely their livers have evolved. Let's just put it
You
that
see
way.
these guys with a sheep too, dude. They make it look so dang easy. That like you try and grab a sheep. Not that I've ever tried to grab a sheep, people. Oh, this is gonna get chopped up and it's gonna sound really bad. But they're actually quite hard to get a hold of. But these Australian boys have got them. It's like seconds, the thing's off. Next, you're like, wow, that's a skill, a right skill. So, with that out of the way, it's no surprise then that I take you over here and we find out that this happens down in Australia as well. It says a North Queensland couple have been left baffled by a bizarre finding on their property, which seems like something straight out of a horror film. Crazy as Mick and Judy Cook were working on the property in Clovelly, northwest of Mackay, when Mr. Cook noticed a dead cow carcass, which appeared to have its body examined. Now, it's gone all wrong now, so I'm going to go back to my normal language. Yes.
Not bad.
Not
bad.
Not bad with
Much
it. Yeah, I'm usually good at shove another snag on the Barbie, but even that comes out Scottish now. It's done.
Probably better than I could do.
Yeah, it's easy, the Australian one. It's like they're singing. Yeah, it's like they sing to you. Obviously, it's an Australian thing. They've got it. They've got the accent, dude. People say I've got the accent. Don't think so. Nope. So it says this time, Scott, the udder, the ears, and its tongue were gone. So it said it was like it had been surgically removed. I certainly couldn't do as neat a job with a very sharp knife, and it definitely wasn't an animal. I thought at first it might have been poisoned, but then I got closer and I saw the parts missing. There was no blood, even where the parts had been removed. No signs of struggle, just gone. And there was no reason or rhyme for it to be done the way it was done. People don't use those parts. It's not just something you would wish on your worst enemy. On the same trip, Mr. Cook said he travelled down a little further on his property, about an hour's drive from his house on rough terrain. You see, again, only in Australia can you be driving for an hour in the wilderness and still be on your own property, Scott. It's like vast. It's massive.
That's how a lot of ranches in Texas are. Like, just, yeah. It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
On and on and on. Yep. So it says the second one looked like it had been there for some time. By that point, we were probably 2 hours from your nearest neighbour. It's very mountainous country, and there's no way anyone can get there unless you come straight past the house. So when I got down there, I noticed another carcass, this one a bit more deteriorated. It looked like it had been rotting there for a bit. We don't know how it happened, but we got into the neighbours just to let them know. The local vet, David Lemon, said that in his 40 years working in the industry, often with livestock, he'd never heard or seen anything like it. I deal with everything, you know, all creatures, great and small. I'm sure the song goes like that somewhere. And I can't think of any explanation for it. That's not normal human behaviour, is it? And that's something bizarre and ill. I would say the person that has done this is not mentally stable. And we're talking eyes, we're talking ears, we're talking udders. No, I've never heard of anything like that ever. That's something or someone very ill who's done that. In a statement, the Queensland police said it's not been notified about the cow examinations. However, Mr. and Mrs. Cook said that they had attempted to contact the local police unsuccessfully. According to Mr. Cook, he and his wife came across 2 deceased cows with their udders removed around the same area about 10 years prior. So this is like a return visit, Scott.
Oh, okay. So
That's a
this
bit
was
skinwalkery. This is a bit skinwalkerish, right? This is a bit of a rant, a bit of a station. See, Donnie? A station that's got a bit of history for this, right?
Yeah, it no pun intended, it wasn't their first rodeo when it comes to this.
Boom, boom. Sorry, dude. I was looking at the chat there. That was a good joke as well. That was a good pun. I like that one.
I was like, oh no, I bombed it.
No, it was a good one. I was just distracted. Pesky humans. You see us pesky humans. We're always messing up. It says here, let's just see what it said. I didn't think much about it at the time. We didn't really say anything about it. This was 10 years ago. We just thought it was a bit strange, let it go, and put it to the back of our minds. But when we saw it again just recently, we decided to tell someone. We came back later, and my daughter tried to do some research. She found a YouTube link to other similar stories. Oh, I bet she did. They basically said other...
This goes back to what I was saying. Like, how long has actually this been going on? Because how many other farmers and stuff did exactly what they did, where they just saw something dead and were like, that's kind of strange, but then they just go on about their business because, I mean...
I reckon it'd be more common than actually reporting it.
Yeah, and then you only find it strange whenever it happens like multiple times. Then it's like, okay, something weird is going on here. But most people aren't going to really pay attention to it happening. It's so rare to begin with, right? So, I mean, how often can you say that you have multiple cattle examinations going on at your property, let alone one? So
it's kind of, this is looking like the Australian Skinwalker. Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch, Scotty. So then it's easy. We're going to lose the Australian audience if I keep on putting on this bloody accent, that's for sure. So it says, when we saw it again, they basically said that other people around the world have been finding similar cases since 75, starting in Yankee Land. I didn't call it that, it's not me. It's even left the police confused. What else is it saying here? Speculation surrounding who or what might be responsible for what's going on, and the examinations ranged from satanic worshippers and government agents to aliens. I like how that just flowed in one into the other there. Because the two go hand in hand, satanic worshippers and government agents, right? I mean, it's like one and the same,
Yes, it's just a little bit.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I need to get back here.
Yeah.
In the mid-70s, the American FBI launched an investigation into the widespread cow passing aways. However, they were unable to offer a conclusion, stating that their investigation was hindered by a lack of jurisdiction. What do you make of that?
I guess it would be a lack of jurisdiction. I mean, because a federal crime would have to be committed in order for them to have jurisdiction. And technically, I guess you could say no crime.
Bovines have rights too.
Yeah, I mean, like, technically no crime was committed, I guess, because they can't determine exactly what happened to the cow. I mean,
yeah, it's not like you can hand out a wanted poster of like a tripod mark in the sand, right, or in the ground. We're looking for something that left that.
Yeah. I mean, if they had definitive kind of evidence or something that pointed to a particular person committing, doing this stuff, then they would have jurisdiction. But yeah, I get, it does make sense. They wouldn't have jurisdiction. It would just have to be up to the local police of that area to
this
try.
This is kind of cool, man. This is kind of cool. This is like, maybe we'll get something, because usually we hear the American media, the British media talking about it. What are the Australian media like, though? Oh, I know they're pleasant to look at. I know that they're very easy to listen to, obviously. But do they sneak a little more truth bomb in there? It says, while no solution has been confirmed to date, some scientists have also attempted to justify the findings, stating they could simply be ordinary decomposition or even carrion animals. Now, I don't know what that is. Carrion.
I want to say, okay, I'm going to take a guess here. I think carry-on animals probably would be like scavenger animals. Like, Like
Carrion is an important food source for large carnivores and omnivores in most ecosystems. Vultures, condors, ox. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
scavenger animals. That's
I
so.
learned something new today. Thank you, Australia. Yes. Carry-on animals. I like it. Used to have carry-on films over here. They were like comedy movies. Nothing like carry-on animals. Forget about it. It's a British joke. Animals such as vultures, Tasmanian devils, and coyotes often eat soft tissue body parts first, which could explain, no it couldn't, why parts of the mouth, tongue, down there, pooey, and the eyes are often found missing on the cows. Scientists have also explained that when an animal passes away, blood will naturally begin to clot and coagulate, creating the appearance that it had disappeared. They weren't, however, able to offer an explanation for the mass number of cows passing away over the years. For now, it remains a mystery. I think that one's going to always be a mystery, right?
That's. You've got your mainstream scientists trying to explain it away as best as they can, but as you notice, they never addressed the laser-like precision of said removed body parts, right? Like, so if you're dealing with a scavenger creature like a vulture or a coyote or something like that, they're just going to come in and they're going to rip and tear away the flesh, right? And you're gonna be able to see that it's really, really like that it was an animal that was just kind of tearing it away. Doesn't explain precision laser-like cuts, because I don't think a coyote's teeth or a vulture's beak is going to create a laser-like surgical wound, so that's what makes it so weird.
Right. I was looking there. We've got a cow over here, the Highland cow. You ever seen that one, Scott? It's a typically Scottish looking cow. It's got like long ginger hair. You ever seen that? Yeah.
It's the cow that is got long, like.
Yeah, it's like crazy looking. I'll drop one over in the chat room over at TFR. It's a crazy looking thing, right?
Literally, it totally looks like.
Doesn't it look Scottish? It's totally Scottish, isn't it? It's got attitude. Look at that thing, man. It's got horns. It's raging. It's pissed. It's got a nice warm coat on because it's Scottish. It actually looks half drunk, which again kind of ties in with it being Scottish. But I was just checking there really quickly during the break. Yeah, the aliens don't come north of Hadrian's Wall, my friend. Nobody tampers with the Highland cow. They take one look at that thing and they go, no, just no, we ain't messing with that. We don't have time to deal with that,
No, knowing Scotland, man, what's going to happen is that they're going to find a dead alien in the... They're gonna find a dead alien in the.
Look at that thing. That thing's got attitude, man. You wouldn't mess with that.
Yeah, they're gonna find a dead alien in the field, and they're gonna find that Scottish cow just kind of like looking over his body, like, "Hey, you shouldn't have. You play with you mess with the bull, you get the horns."
Knowing what I know about cows now, which is still not a very much, right? But last week we learned that there was pretty much special qualities to the cows. I've got a new way of looking at these Highland ones, I must admit. A new level of respect has been formed here, Scott. Must admit.
They definitely do have a very atypical Scottish air to them. Yeah.
Even if you weren't, like, you'd never seen that cow ever before, you would go, does that come from Scotland? Absolutely it does. So then, I think that's pretty much all of our cow talk out of the way. I think, Scott. Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, it's super weird. It's one of the topics that always makes me just kind of scratch my head and go, what is going on? Because you just can't attribute it to one thing, and who know? I mean, have these incidents really been on the downtick, or is it just one of those things to where it kind of gets pushed into the public consciousness and then it kind of goes away for a while and then the story's brought back up? But in all actuality, I mean, is it still happening at the same kind of consistent rate? That's what I'm wondering, and I don't know, man. It'll always be a thing where if we see a cattle examination story, we're gonna have to talk about it.
Big time,
I don't
dude.
know, man.
Even before I got into all of this stuff, Scott, as a wee guy, that was one thing whenever I heard about it. Like, you'd see it in a documentary or something, you'd be like, that's just bizarre. Just, like, totally out there. One of those ones that leaves you like we've just spent an hour and 20 minutes talking about this, and we're no closer to really nailing down what on earth's going on. In fact, I think we're probably more confused now, because, you know?
Yeah, we literally went through almost half the show covering this.
Talking about big dirty cows, man.
Yeah, and we still have no answers. Like you said, it just kind of almost raises more questions than it does.
But it's brilliant. I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Topic. That's what makes the topic so good, man.
And Ben Emlyn Jones is going to be on the Kev Baker show next week, and he is gorging Skinwalker Ranch as we talk. So that's going to be a good conversation next week. Please tune in for that. I think it's on Monday. I'll let you know, though, before we go away today. And don't forget, we're not quite on the break yet. I've got one quick story to throw in there before we get to the break. But we're halfway through the show, and that means we're halfway through Freaky Friday ahead of Brent Thomas and the Paranormal Portal. I urge you all, please, this once, if you haven't checked out Brent, try and even just take 10 minutes, see what it's all about, try something new. And I think, Scott, it's such a no-brainer. If you like this content, Brent's just, it's the natural progression, you know?
It totally is. I mean, it's literally like it's like the addendum to Freaky Friday.
It's like when you've got Joe Rogan, he's got the comedians on, and they're talking about when they were the warm-up for this one, or they went on tour with that one. I quite happily act as a warm-up for Brent. A's a nice guy. B, it's our topics.
We're the opening act, and so we're just warming the crowd up.
Yep, I like it, man. We're getting the mosh pit going. That's what it is, Scott.
Yes. Oh, kept getting a little bit into the metal there. Excellent.
It was Polly the other night. Polly made a really profound effect on me. Sometimes, whenever anyone comes onto the show, you think about what they say, but sometimes they give you analogies, little ways of describing things you haven't heard before. And he was talking about how the leader isn't the most important person. It's actually the first follower. And he used the example of, it's when that first person that dives in, the mosh pit, it's the one that goes after that really gets it going. It's the first follower that has a real effect on the crowd, then joining in, snowballing.
Yeah, because everybody watches like the one guy. Okay, so the one guy goes and does it, but what they're really waiting for is the person to follow up, and then that gives them.
Then and then it's going, man.
Okay. Somebody else is crazy enough to do this. Let's all do it. You've got to watch for that first follower. Yeah, it's a good.
You see, folks, I'm paying attention. I know I look like the goofiest cat in the block, but I do pay attention. I do. I learn from you people all the time, and that's what it's all about for me, anyway. We don't have time for the story before we go to the break, but what I'll do is I'll kind of give you a clue.
This is be good.
Yeah.
This is good.
We've got a story about rakes, the cryptid, the rake. Is it possible it can attach its energy to somebody? We're going to be talking about creating our very own creatures of the paranormal type, and this is the story that freaked me out the other day, Scott. I've got probs with the lungs and stuff, right? So some days it gets a bit harder than others. And the other night, I thought, well, I'll give myself a little break, right? I'd done an hour stream beforehand, and I went to play a couple of creepypasta videos, and I found one called the Shadow Man game. I turned it off halfway through this. I could not have played it on the show because people would have rightly said, Kev, you can't put information like that out there because that's like literally telling people how to like summon up a shadow dude. It's a fictional story, right? It's just a story. But Scott, the way it was told, the way it was put together, I'm like, no way, I cannot put that out. But then the next day, this story came along, and it's all about creating your own tulpa. The same as the Shadow Man game story was. So we'll get into that after the break. I'm not encouraging you to create a tulpa, but we'll talk about it. And we'll also get into some UFOs. We've got space. We've got goblins getting exorcised in Iceland. Only on Freaky Friday. Don't go anywhere. There we go. Yes, indeed. I can't believe it's halfway already, Scott. Dang, dude.
The woo floweth tonight.
Yeah, the woo is definitely supercharged, Scotty. Supercharged. It's I take it we're out of that Mercury retrograde now. I think anyway. So that might have been affecting the woo over the past couple of weeks. I don't know. Sounds a good story to come up with. But into the chat room. So it says here we've got Leslie. Big shout out to you. Robin, Edward. He's cracking the puns in there as well. He's claiming a stake on the stake. Oh, you like that one? You like that one? Yeah. So Sam says, nice, you can jump in the chat. Best chat on the internet. Oh, wow, thank you. Duncan McCockiner. Oh, like that name. Duncan McCockiner. What a Scottish name that is. That's a really good video that illustrates it. Literally a guy dancing and people join in. Next thing is a giant crowd. You see the first follower. That's the ones, and that gets it all going.
Speaking of mosh pits, have you ever seen the Wall of Death?
No.
Oh, maybe while we're on break, you should look that up on a.
My cousin was one of these lunatics that was into heavy metal, dude. So he was. I could never get it. I never did get it. I used to sit in his car. We would smoke lots of stuff in his car. And even after years of having to listen to that in the back seat, never got it. So, Wall of...
Yeah, do the first one, Lamb of God. That's a good band.
No, I obviously can't play any of this. What are they doing?
Probably could play it.
I'll turn the music down. In case there's a... Okay,
watch.
I'll pull it up on the screen here, folks. Here we go. Right, let's see. Right.
I don't think the music is going to get you struck. It's too... There's too much.
Are they all going to just, like, run at people? What the hell, dude?
Yeah, watch.
What on earth's name are these lunatics up to?
There they go.
Why?
That's kind of a weak one.
What?
That's pretty good. I think Lamb of God, they started the Wall of Death. But yeah, you essentially divide up the crowd. You have half go to one side, half go to the other side. And then when the breakdown kicks in, when the music kicks in, they just all run towards each other like a massive like two armies in battle.
I would be gone. I'd be deleted. Look at the size of me, dude. These rockers are usually big boys. Big boys, man. Big men. You'd lose me in amongst that, Scotty boy. You would lose me, dude. Like, gone.
I was at a concert one time, and there was another guy in a wheelchair over there. but he was in a manual chair. Like he must have been like paralyzed from the waist down or whatever. The crowd lifted him up and crowd surfed him in his wheelchair.
Here we go. You can tell me, but hang on. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Yes, indeed. The Wookiee heralds the start of the second half of Freaky Friday. Scotty Lopez and me, Kev Baker. You can catch me during the week, Monday to Thursday, right here on your number one network, tfrlive.com. Kev Baker show next week. I'm going to have on Ben Emlyn Jones. I think Charlie Robinson is just around the corner as well. Nano Girl will be coming back on soon. I've got Kevin from Minnesota. He's on 727. All the Kevins on 727. You know he's going to have fun with his lyrical mastery with all of that going on. But we've still got an hour and a half to go here. And before we get back into it, Scott, you're a big fan of the whole kind of heavy metal scene. And you were kind of showing me something during the break there called the wall of deletion, shall we call it. And it's just looked like really like angry people stood there patiently waiting to run head on into each other and kick lumps out of each other. But talk to me about this phenomenon. You're into your rock music, right? This is your thing, man.
But I love it. I love it. I mean, I've been in this subculture for as long as I can remember. You know, like since being in middle school, man. I've been just into heavy metal. I'm a rocker, whatever. Ooh, I listen to that satanic music, blah, blah, blah. You know, but whatever. So, I mean, the mosh pit, right? It's been around, I'd say, since the 80s, right? The thrash bands, the original thrash bands and all of that. I think that's where the mosh pit really kind of got started. And it used to be known as slam dancing before it got
slam dancing. That's like double speak. It should be called, like, I don't know, crazy kind of combat, man. Combat to music.
Yeah, it was originally known as slam dancing, and then it became known as the mosh pit, and it really kind of caught on when Anthrax made their song "Caught in a Mosh." But hey, here I go going into like I
can make it freaky though. I can take this into the freaky, right? Because you see a lot of symbology around that kind of musical scene, Scott. It's not usually your fluffy, warm, wholesome type.
And look, I can see why a lot of people are like,
That's what I was going to ask you. That's what I was going to ask you though. Is that a shtick? Is it just like marketing, or are they really into like chicken foots and blah blah?
Look, there's a very, very small core of those people that actually believe that stuff, right? But that's with anything. But in general, I would say most people into heavy metal, most heavy metal musicians and stuff, they're just giant trolls. That's what we are. We're big, fat, giant trolls. And if it gets a reaction out of somebody, we're gonna do it. You know, we're like the OG trolls.
Are you like the kind of autists from the boards, but in the musical scene? Are you like that? Are you like those people, the kind of 4chan,
exactly.
8chan Redditors?
And once you see that, people go, "Oh my God, look at how terrible this is," and like they act like the world's. All that does is it gives you gives people more fuel to take it to the next level, to outrage people even more. And so then that's just when you got into like the ridiculous in the 90s of some of these death metal bands and like just how absurd and over the top. Look, you got to think of it like B-flick horror movies, right? And they just take
they overcompensate with the gore. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's exactly the same thing in the heavy metal subculture. That's exactly what you're just looking at B-flick movies, but in musical form.
Until you go to Norway, and then that's a whole other kettle of fish altogether.
Okay, yeah, that's a different situation. The Norwegian black metal scene is just a whole.
They take their
different
music
thing.
pretty serious over there, from the stories you've told me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole. That could be a whole show in itself. But going back to the wall of destruction. I won't say the other word for the algorithm, but the wall of deletion that I showed you during the break, I believe that was started by the band Lamb of God. Because hey, a good old mosh pit. That was a good old fashioned mosh pit. That's old news. You needed to step it up. They needed to evolve the mosh pit. So they invented the wall of death. So you separate the crowd into two halves. You have one stand on one side, one stand on the other side, and then.
Dude, you know what would happen?
Yeah.
You know what would happen? I would turn up there. I'd look both ways. I'd go punks to the left of me, punks to the right of me. And I'd get my thug life on, man. They'd all just walk away. They'd be scared, Scott. They'd go immediately.
There's also those crazy people that. When you have a circle pit going, and you've seen a circle pit, right? So they all start kind of naturally going in a circle, running around.
This is just insanity, dude. This is the kind of antics that they get up to in like crazy houses, like people that are certified. You know that, right?
Yeah. Well, you've got these particular individuals that have a little extra crazy in them in the circle pit, and they try to run the other way in the circle pit, so they run head on.
Do you reckon there's like a place for me and you in a tent? We could like go on tour around these festivals. We could like be the providers of woo, because I'm sure that these big festivals that they take part in, these big like what looks like mass combat events. Surely at some point you need to go and chill out. We could have like the cattle examination tent, the woo tent up the back, dude. And may I just point something out before we go any further on this journey today? My mum's listening. Big shout out to you. Your mum's in the chat room. Big shout out to Tana.
Hello, Mom. How you doing?
Yes.
How's it going?
The two queens of the Freaky Friday experience are tuned in. They've separated the signal from the noise. They're focused, Scott. They're like lasers. They're like, that's our boys. Look at them delivering that woo. The pride that oozes out of them right now when they see me and you taking on the ghouls, the goblins, the demons. I tell you, they sit there full of pride. Go and look at your ma's face, Scott. That's what pride looks like. I'm telling you, dude.
I hope so.
It's one of those nights. Of course she's proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of my mom. Proud of all these Wookiees out there. Why? Because we're different. And I'll tell you how different we are. Now we're going to talk about the absolutely super duper creepy wacky woo that I found today. It's only a short story, but it's one of those ones that really, it's Freaky Friday written all over it.
When I saw the headline of this, I was like, oh, this takes the rake thing to a different level, doesn't it?
Doesn't it just? So, can a rake humanoid attach its energy to someone? So, a Canadian woman only witnessed a pale humanoid when in the presence of her Swedish ex-boyfriend. A pale humanoid. Swedes in the room. It must have been Nordic. Boom, boom. Since then, the same entity has again manifested around the ex-boyfriend.
You know what it is? You know what it is?
What is it, Scott? Tell me.
It's not a rake. What we're talking about here is a rogue black metaler that has been running through the forest, and he's got his corpse paint on, so he's all white.
He's gone missing 411. He got soaked through by a hairy hand.
Well, if you know anything about the black metal culture, they love the forests. They love taking their album covers and their pictures.
That even creeps me out even more, Scott. It's the music of death. That's what it is, dude. It comes straight from hell. It crawled out of hell on its belly, did that music, brother. It did.
That's what happened. It was her ex-Swedish boyfriend, or her ex-boyfriend who was Swedish, and they live up in Scandinavia. There's a lot of black metal going on, and they came across one of these black metal guys running through the forest.
Rick Anderson in the chat. He says, just ask for the fork. Since we're talking. Why don't we get a hoe and a shovel while we're there as well, eh? Oh, honestly. But it says, since then, the same entity has again manifested around the ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend. So I recently came across the following account. In 2012, by then, or my then boyfriend lived in Sweden. I lived in Canada. He came to visit me, and during one of the evenings, I woke up to something strange perched at the foot of the bed. It was a pale, thin, humanoid figure. It was completely hairless, and the legs seemed to be bowed. Hey, thank you, Leroy.
Great show, y'all. Thank you.
Aw,
Nerd face.
Hey. So it was pale, a thin, humanoid figure, completely hairless, and the legs seemed to be bowed in the same way, or in some way. It seemed to walk on all fours, despite looking human. Now, so far, this is sounding absolutely no mistake about it. This is a rake.
Yeah, this is your very stereotypical rake description
Yep.
going on here. So yeah.
Do you find, Scott, there's almost something rakish to the Slender Man? I've always thought the Slender Man looks like an upright walking rake in a suit.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of similarities between the Slender Man, the Rake, some of these other kind of where you have like a pale humanoid creature of some kind. It's almost like I would say it's kind of like the Mothman thing in a way, where we could be talking about the same entity going by different names, you know, but it has a very common appearance to it, which would be like this pale skinned humanoid creature of some sort. Just like with the Mothman, you're dealing with a winged creature with no neck and red eyes, but that could be known as the Owlman in the UK, or you know, whatever name it takes on depending on the location.
Whatever name it wants to be called when it's like 8 foot tall, a muscular looking human shape and red eyes. What do you want to be called, big man?
Yeah, so with the Rake, I mean, basically, I guess any kind of humanoid cryptid that has pale skin, and is humanoid, and you know, checks a lot of the boxes of it. Just lump it all in there, I say.
Lump it all in together. A big boiling pot of cryptids. Oh, cryptid soup. I couldn't see much of its face since it was looking away from me. It looked a lot like a creature from the fictional story The Rake. When I gasped, it hopped off the bed and into the darkness. My partner heard me and woke me to ask what was wrong. I didn't tell him, as not to alarm him while trying to rest. You didn't tell him because you thought your boyfriend would think you're absolutely catatonically crazy. I'm not saying that she is, but you just come over from Sweden to get your brown chicken, brown cow, bit of romance, you know, love is in the air, do-do-do. I don't know if they sing that in Sweden, but maybe. And, you know, your new schmooze wakes you up in the middle of the night. Kev, wake up. You're thinking, oh, yes, indeedy. Round 2, only to be told there's a creepy little rake at the end of the bed. Do something about it. I'm out of there, dude. I'm on the next flight home. Sweden.
Probably, you know, I'm sure he threw on some ABBA, right? Isn't ABBA from Sweden?
Or some Bee Gees. They're not from Sweden, but they sound like they should be.
He had his ABBA going. He was ready for some brown chicken, brown cow, and I don't think the Rake would have brought any sort of romance to the situation. Just saying.
Exactly. You know, big Swedish guy, not a problem. Just a rake hen. I'll get rid of it. 2014, he was visiting once more, and we were once again in bed sleeping. I woke up to hear my boyfriend screaming like I've never heard before. Now you see, this is really kind of blowing the whole stereotypical rugged Scandinavian Viking hardman look, I must admit. I immediately turned on the light and shook him to try and snap him out of it, but he just kept he just screamed and then cried. Oh, that's terrible. After 30 minutes or so, he was finally calm enough to explain what had happened. Apparently, he woke up to a pale, humanoid figure with a gaping mouth and black, sunken eyes, basically, on top of him. Oh my word.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, right now he can scream and cry all he wants. Yeah, I don't care who he is. As he screamed, the figure slowly backed itself into the closet the whole time, staring at him, crawling on all fours. I felt sick. I never even told him about what I saw a few years prior. There's no way we could have known, or he could have known, and described what I saw perfectly like that. Now, it's showing up again. My ex messaged me today, we're friends, and told me his now girlfriend had seen the pale man. They were asleep, and apparently, she woke up to see this thing stalking around the room, and it noticed her frozen in fear. So it crawled up next to her. Oh my God. My ex woke up and tried to console her. She described what she saw. It apparently was a perfect match to the thing we both saw. And I've only ever told him what I saw after his experience, and she's never heard of either of our experiences. Is this just a mass coincidence of hallucinating while waking up? Is it a demon of some sort? Or some sort of haunting? I'm really freaked out. Scott, let's take it at face value. No reason to believe it's made up. But that there, if it is as it said, it seems to be around that guy. Because it was in Canada twice when he was there. And I don't know where his new schmooze is now. But it's followed him, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he's back in Sweden, then
It's at that point you say, you are my ex. Lose my number and keep that white pale thing with you. Go away, you creepoid. You know?
but it makes you wonder, like, why did she experience it first before him? If it's attached to him, you would think that maybe he would have experienced. I don't know, man. Maybe maybe we're talking about like a poltergeist kind of thing.
I was thinking almost like a weird tulpa that he's subconsciously creating.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe he has somehow
He's been hexed or
manifested
vexed or some family curses put on, man.
or yeah, maybe he's got some kind of strange telekinetic thing going on that's bringing this thing in. I don't know, but very strange. Very
Very strange. Pretty
that's pretty creepy, man. I would not be so calm if something like that was like up on my chest and I woke up and
no, absolutely not. So I think we'll go from that one to creating our very own creatures of the paranormal type. And this is it's one of my favorite kind of paranormal subtopics, I think you would call it. The whole tulpamancy. Talk about it all the time. You've heard us talking about the Slender Man and even Momo. You know, any of these things, anything. The most recent one was Siren Head. That was the one. It's like a big pole with, like it says, it's got sirens on its head, right? But
yeah.
I mean, long story short, Scotty, to break it down for people who don't know, it's basically anything you put enough attention into it, you spend enough time putting energy into it, people thinking about it, it raises itself in the consciousness and that manifests. It ends up being real. That's a really crap way of explaining it. It's going to do it in here as well, but how would you kind of succinctly kind of sum it up?
The tulpa thing?
Yeah.
I think if you focus on something and you put your intent into it enough, then you can manifest it. No doubt. I mean, that's kind of the whole point behind rituals and magic and all of that stuff. When you have like people doing seances or just, you know, rituals in general, when you have like a group of people standing in a circle chanting, focusing all of their energy on one thing that they want to occur, then they can manifest things into reality. I totally believe that. But I think you could probably create your own tulpas, like however you envision it in your mind's eye. If you focus on it enough, you could manifest that in reality. Now, is everybody able to do it? No, I think you have to have a certain level of focus to do it. And then maybe some people just unintentionally do it. Like they have that ability, they just don't realize it. And then they unintentionally create tulpas, you know.
I think that happens a lot with them. I think that plays into the poltergeists a lot. I think maybe sometimes, not all the time, I think poltergeists are very real ghosts. Some of them are ghosts, some demonic, whatever you want to call it. But I think sometimes when you're hearing things in the house and it's maybe misinterpreted, and it's easily done, you might think that creaking up the stairs, something that's not. Enough of you in the house start to pick up on things, you start to believe the house is haunted. Before too long, guess what? Your house might just get haunted because you've believed it enough to manifest it, you know?
That's why, like, when people go to visit haunted locations, you don't want to preload them.
Yep.
And tell them, oh, there's been sightings here of a white lady.
Yeah,
you know,
Mary used to live in the back room, and there's a ghost of John walks up the stair.
Yeah. And so then you're already preloading them, and then they end up manifesting that because they're thinking about, oh, there's a lady in white that's supposed to be haunting this place. So they're constantly thinking about seeing a lady in white, and eventually they'll probably manifest that, you know. So if you just bring them in cold and then they experience something, then that's like, oh, okay, that seems more legit to me.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Big time. Right, well, let's see what Nick's got to say about it. Google the word tulpa online. You'll find a wealth of material. So for space reasons, however, I'll provide you with the following description from the Psychonaut wiki. Tulpas are seemingly sentient, autonomous mental companions subjectively experienced by the Psychonaut as a separate being with their own agency, emotions, preferences, thoughts and characters. They can be likened to a separate mental consciousness existing alongside the Psychonaut. Tulpas can be considered as a type of autonomous entity, distinguished by their persistence and continuity over time. This is opposed to the hallucinogen-induced autonomous entities which can persist throughout the substance's duration of action, or dream characters that cease to exist upon awakening. Also, unlike autonomous entities, tulpas are often the product of intentional creation, starting with an idea of their characteristics and developed into a robust mental companion capable of meaningful interaction and communication through sustained meditative attention. Now that's a bit of a description there, Scott, eh? Telling you.
Yeah, but I mean, it just shows that, I mean, it's just describing that if you have that mental focus and you are really able to think about this tulpa in a very focused and meaningful way, that you could essentially manifest this thing, you know. Very interesting.
With that said, let's have a look at the few cases that seem to fall into the category of the tulpa. So during the course of his research into the whole UFO and alien abduction puzzle, Whitley Strieber, how haven't I had him on my show? That's one to do, yes. Best-selling author of the abduction-driven book Communion, learned of the existence of an apparently classified US Air Force study which concluded that the presence of the so-called alien greys in our world was based to some significant degree on our willingness and ability to believe they existed. Wow. Oh,
Okay, now
That's
that
interesting, dude.
very, very interesting. So,
You
are the
think about it. You think about it. Think about the massive ufology groups everywhere around the world talking about it, looking for them. It's the classic thing that would result in them turning up.
Exactly, and think about it. I mean, what is the stereotypical alien? Like the most when somebody says alien, what's the first thing that pops in your head?
It's the
You know,
little, it's the greys, dude. Big eyes, big head.
Guy, yeah. And so, are we talking about this? Could we potentially be talking about a mass tulpa where everybody just they see alien grays because that's what they focus on when they think about aliens?
And that's what we've been told. That's what we've been told to focus on. Wow, 2 hours down. 1 hour to go. Don't go anywhere. Holy shimoly, this is
That took a very interesting twist, and
very. I'm gonna go and fill a quick coffee, Scott. That's all right.
Okay.
Do you want me to put some music on?
yeah.
Yeah, so
I
you
got
can so you can have a little PPP for Mr. Scotty. I'll be back in a moment. So will Scotty. Don't go anywhere, folks. What's up, Scott? Everything all right?
Ooh, no, you okay? Feeling all right?
Oh, I'm feeling good, yeah. Oh, was that a disembodied voice that came through there? What was that all about? Dang. Oh, scary. Yes, indeedy. 1 hour to go, bro. 1 hour. Can you believe it?
Dude.
I will let you take the next choice of story. I think I sent you a pile of links earlier, but if not,
It got lost when we added the host.
Yeah,
so.
I lost the ability to chat to you as well. Like this chat box isn't working over here. Hang on. There it is. It's back now. It's working now, dude. There we go. I'll send you that one. And I've got one about. This is a good one. It's from Karen over in Poland. Mr. and Mrs. Gherkin, not gerbil like I called them one day. And it's about the Irish and Scottish connections to ancient Egypt. Oh yes, indeedy. So that's yeah,
okay.
that'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. Here we go. 3, 2. Third and final hour on today's Freaky Friday. I'm having a blast here. I'm Kev Baker. We got Scotty Lopez enjoying this week, Scotty.
Oh, dude, so much woo this week. I mean,
You
this
even
is
got in some heavy metal talk, man, on Freaky Friday. Come on.
Gotta slip it in. Gotta get a little mosh pit time
Just
in
the
there.
tip, Scott. Just the tip.
Just a bit.
Just
a
a
bit.
tip.
Just a tip. Yeah. Just a tip.
Yeah. And on that note, I will take us back to our story that we were getting into. Creating tulpas.
Now that what blew my mind is that it was like the U.S. government, right? The Air Force come out and was like, no little green, or no alien greys. You guys are just creating tulpas. Like that's essentially what they said. I mean, that's what the U.S. Air Force came to the conclusion of, is that this is a mass tulpa.
I watched a really interesting video today as well. I'm going to try and get this guy on the show. He's a science filmmaker. He's called Professor Simon over on YouTube. He has got a video about the Tic Tac, the UFOs that the Pentagon released, the videos. He's found a couple of really interesting patents at the US Patent Office from the US Navy that deals with advanced high energy propulsion systems and something that creates quantum cavities. And it's shaped exactly like the Tic Tac. More on that. I'm going to try and get this cat. He's awesome, dude. He looks like your stereotypical crazy scientist. He's got white hair going everywhere. He's just and he's boffin material. So yeah, we'll try and get him on. But we're gonna, if we think about him enough, maybe he'll just appear. Because like Scotty was saying, we're finding out. Yeah,
definitely sounds like something that Dr. Richard Allen Miller would talk about, with like quantum cavities and cavitations and all that stuff.
Okay, we need a Miller time soon as well on Freaky Friday. I'm his favourite Irish show in the world, as he always tells me. I don't even correct him anymore, dude. I'm like, thanks, Doc. He's like, I was over in Ireland anyway. It's great. The leprechauns. It's the Doc. Anyone else, I'd be triggered. I'd be twiggered. But it's the Doc. He's allowed, man. He's literally the Doc at Back to the Future. He's literally the guy out of X-Files. Come on, you know?
Hey, if the Doc wants to quantumly morph you into an Irishman, then that's just
He's
how it has to be.
the only man that goes on any show that says, I am the walrus, cuckoo choo. And it works. It makes sense every time. I'm telling you, he's a legend. But then, let's get back to creating tulpas. Can we do it? I absolutely think we can, and we do it more than I think we're aware of. So it says then, I'll read this bit again about Whitley Strieber, the best-selling author of the abduction-driven book Communion. Learned that the existence of an apparently classified US Air Force study, which concluded the presence of the so-called alien greys in our world, was based to some significant degree on our willingness and ability to believe that they existed. Now that, of course, is the veritable hallmark of the tulpa. Perhaps the concern the aliens have for us and our world is entirely self-serving and selfish. After all, if we destroy ourselves and there is no one left to continue the belief in aliens, will this specific breed of tulpa slowly fade away until it is as extinct as the minds that may have given birth to it in the first place? Now let's take a look at the matter of the Loch Ness Monster of Scotland. More than 20 miles in length, hundreds of feet deep, and with the ruined and atmospheric Castle Urquhart situated at its Strone Point, and not forgetting Aleister Crowley's Boleskine House, Loch Ness has, unsurprisingly, been a magnet for generations of people fascinated by that most famous of all monsters, Nessie, or the Nessies. Although the popular imagery provoked by any mention of lake monsters is that of the classic long neck and the humpback or the hump-like back, there have been reports from the loch of impressively sized tusked creatures, large frog-like animals, something akin to the plesiosaurs, and more. I would never have described a plesiosaur as frog-like, to be honest with you, Scott, but hey, if that's where he wants to go, it's Nick. We'll let him off with it. Needless to say, the idea that Loch Ness could be home to more than one type of unknown animal seems unlikely in the extreme. Perhaps
Wait, to give Nick some defense here, he did separate that with a comma, so it was large frog-like animals, comma, something akin.
Okay, we'll let him off with that. Yes, it's just my crappy reading skills. Yes, me again, getting people in trouble. I'm telling you, I'm actually manifesting errors in his work, but it's all in my own head. Perhaps the reason.
I just wanted to make sure before the mobs came out and demanded that Nick step down from the mysterious universe for comparing.
Maybe I need to lie about him to get him to answer me, dude. Mind you, remember the first time we had him on? I was panicking, I was sweating bullets because it was like a minute before the show, and emails were, it was crazy getting a hold of this guy, but it was worth it. Still sticks out in my memory, that show. We need to get him back. So it says, perhaps the reason why the Nessies appear in multiple forms as before is because their appearances are dictated by the hopes and the thoughts of the people looking for them. Now, let me just pause there. I cannot, for 1 minute, begin to make a case for the Loch Ness Monster sightings not playing into the tulpas. Absolutely. For everything I've said about the tulpas before, Loch Ness is a focal point for people's attention. Like he said, anytime you hear of a monster, especially a water monster, it's Nessie. Everyone kind of knows about it on a certain level. And that in itself, all the hallmarks of what can create a tulpa. So are some of the sightings that people have generated by themselves? I think so. Are all of them? No. I still think there's something in there, you know?
Yeah. Does this also play into the Kelpie thing and the shape-shifting and why so many people see different, why so many people see different variants of the Kelpie, right? Well, some people see a horse, some people see, I don't know, something else.
Things as well. They've got tusks now in this description, right?
So are we talking about just like tulpas that people are and they're just seeing their own variant, their own variation of these tulpas, you know, and that's why it's considered a shape-shifting creature, because not everybody is going to see the exact same thing. They're going to these locations expecting to see something, but it turns out to be whatever they manifest, you know, and so that could be something completely different than what another person manifests.
Yep.
And then they go, okay, well, it's a shape-shifting entity of some sort, you know. This guy saw it as this and this guy saw it as that. But yeah, definitely it's a, like I said, it's a classic case for a tulpa situation, I think.
Big time. Much the same can be said for the Sasquatch of the American Pacific Northwest. The expansive dark forests and the snow-capped peaks are all fertile ground to allow for the creation of myths and tales about the wild things that might just lurk on the fringes of the civilized world. Civilized? Did a look out there lately? And would you be surprised to learn that the hairy man-beasts, I love that, hairy man-beast, I want to be called that, seem to show evidence of extreme high strangeness too. There are, for example, 3-toed, 4-toed and 5-toed and camel-toed tracks that are said to be indicative of a real-life man-beast in our midst. Even Anne's laughing. That was a good one. Bigfoot hair comes in more than one color too. Black, brown, grey, and even white. In some cases, the creature has glowing red eyes. Confusingly, however, on other occasions, its eyes are said to be eerily human in both appearance and character. And what are we to make of those accounts where Bigfoot vanishes not by lumbering off into the safety of thick trees, but by literally vanishing into thin air? Mainstream cryptozoologists, how can you be a mainstream cryptozoologist? I mean, I would imagine cryptozoology has you out there in the outreaches of pseudoscience to begin with, right? But you're a mainstream pseudoscientist, so may not like it, but but the fact is that there is something distinctly odd about the strange creatures that are said to inhabit our world. While they look physical and appear substantial, on investigation, everything screams out non-physical and insubstantial. As with the saga of Nessie, perhaps the Bigfoot creatures manifest in the fashion that those seeking them expect and hope to see. Scott, you basically said exactly verbatim what Nick went on to say there. You know, you expect to see something of a certain description. Oh, voila, don't be surprised when it turns up just the way you thought, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you decide, oh, okay, I'm gonna go Sasquatch hunting, right? And you go out, and you go out to the forest, go out to the woods, and you're gonna go search for Sasquatch. Well, already, I mean, you're preloaded because you're thinking in your mind's eye of what you believe Sasquatch looks like, right? And that can kind of vary from person to person, but there's the general sort of look of Sasquatch that everybody knows, right? Like you said, a hairy man beast, 8 foot tall.
Scott, any hairy man beast that also has camel toe probably says this.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
Just saying.
I was going to say that you have a hairy man beast leaving camel toe tracks. Something's a little off there. A little.
Surely the algorithm doesn't know about that. Surely.
Well, we'll find out. We will sure find out, my friend.
An email from YouTube. The use of camel toe is not acceptable. I'm just being anatomically descriptive, that's all.
Yes, exactly.
Dang, we're just trying to stick to the script.
But no, I mean, but everybody kind of has what they would think that the Sasquatch would look like in their mind's eye, right? And so maybe some of these people are, you're going out there, you're already looking for Sasquatch, so your intent and your focus is on that activity. And let's be honest, a lot of people don't want to be disappointed. So they're really, really wanting to see something. So that elevates the focus and the intent even more. And then, maybe some of these people end up having an experience. They end up manifesting what was in their mind's eye, and it ends up becoming a Bigfoot experience. Does that mean the Bigfoot doesn't exist? No, because somehow it manifested into reality, right? And we talk about Sasquatch being an interdimensional entity of some sort. Well, if you're creating a tulpa, you're pulling that from somewhere, I would think, right? Like, it just doesn't manifest from nothing. You've got to that information comes from somewhere. Even if you're like manifesting it and you're generating it from your mind's eye, that information comes from somewhere. So technically, yeah, Sasquatch is still an interdimensional entity of some sort, if you want to even look at it from the tulpa point of view.
I honestly think that there's a whole layer to the forest that is interdimensional. It sounds utterly bizarre, totally bizarre, but I really do think there's another world in there that we can't quite see. Sometimes we do, whether it's the conditions or, like Scott says here, maybe just enough people have seen it for it to have gained traction out there in that quantum field, and now many times people seen it. How do we know if it's the real deal that caused all of it in the first place, or the tulpa that comes on the back of it? In the end of the day, both point to the magic of the forest again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Indeed.
Mm.
2 seconds, there we go.
Yeah.
I am now sorted. I was hiding behind my ghost there. I was busy origami, as you do.
Ah, yes,
A
yes.
master
You're
in origami, dude. Oh, yes, indeed.
very, very good with the folding skills,
Yeah,
Kev.
oh,
Very good.
Very quick, very rapid indeed. Again, that was years wasted in the back of my cousin's car, getting driven around, listening to heavy metal music.
See,
I had to keep myself busy
can't,
somehow.
you can't say that it didn't help you out in some form or fashion. You
Life
would have
skills,
never
brother.
learned,
Life skills.
you would have never have learned that life skill if it wasn't for heavy metal. So
Yeah.
there you go.
I actually thought everyone could do that. Why are we talking about it? Let's get back into the woo. Richard Freeman is the zoological director of the Devon-based Centre for Fortean Zoology. First Paranormal. Where is he? Tell Jason he needs to get there. That's down his neck of the woods. Anything Fortean is cool. And that comes from Charles Fort. He was the one that kind of started the whole Fortean thing. We can dive into that. The Fortean Times. You ever check that out, Scotty? Anything Fortean is basically Freaky Friday. The weird, the woo. Charles Fort, he was famous back in the day, and basically they call it like Fortean, you know?
So what is it, like strange creatures, bizarre kind of?
I think that's how you spell it. Yeah, hang on. Fortean. There we go. Fortean Times.
Interesting.
The Fortean Times is a British monthly magazine devoted to the anomalous phenomena popularised by Charles Fort. Fort without any. Previously published by John Brown Publishing and then Feel Good Publishing. It's now published again in December 28, 14,000 copies per month. It's like strange stuff. It's just the woo. That's what
okay.
Yeah, it's just the woo. You know, witchcraft.
Anomalous.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it is. It's literally.
It's actually
Freaky Friday existed.
Clyde Lewis. He calls himself a Fortean. You know, people call themselves almost into the Fortean way of life. You know.
Oh, so if you devote yourself kind of to the ways of the woo and that kind of
look at things with a woo eye on you. Yeah.
You're a Fortean.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I'd never heard of it until Clyde had talked about it one time, and I went and checked it all out, and yeah, really cool. A lot of the stories that we talk about, I can guarantee they've been covered ad nauseum by that. Yeah.
I mean, just from the cover of the magazine, I mean, it literally looks like basically Freaky Friday the magazine.
Yep. Mulch,
Okay.
myth, and magic. Witch marks, the hidden history of Britain's ritual protection symbols. It's all looks like ruins and carvings, and I'm going to actually order one of them. 3 issues for £1. Come on, you can't say much fairer than that, can you? £1 nowadays? Buy nothing for £1. If we come back down here then. It says, in the summer of 1997, however, Richard was a student at Leeds University in England. Big shout out to Leeds. They're finally back in the Premier League of the football after 16 years. Awesome. They're going to go back down again, but that's another story altogether. Where he was studying for a degree in zoology. And it was while there that Richard had an idea of trying to create for himself a classic example of a tulpa in the form of nothing less than a giant spider. I can't think of anything worse to come out of your imagination and springy, hairy legs and come into reality, you know? Spiders came straight out of hell. Let's face it, anything that crawls on 8 legs and hairy and spins a web, they're definitely from hell, dude.
As an arachnophobic, this is no bueno. No bueno
No,
for
there's
me.
no way you'd ever find yourself sitting there, Scotty, thinking to yourself, oh, please let that spider just manifest in front of me.
Well, here's another interesting thing before we go on. Do people's fears also generate tulpas? Because if you're obsessively in fear of something and you're constantly thinking about it, can you actually manifest the things that you fear? You know.
That's a very good point.
So like if you're like, say you're on the very, very extreme spectrum of arachnophobia and you're constantly in fear of spiders and you're constantly thinking about them,
You're going to see them everywhere.
you're going to see them everywhere. Or could you manifest something like that? You know, so makes you wonder what, you know, with that as well.
That's a good point, dude. I'd never thought about it that way. Says over the next few days, Richard and his friends continued to meditate further in front of the altar and visualized in their minds and imaginations a huge growing spider. Incredibly, after a few weeks, something truly unusual happened. On one occasion, Richard entered the cellar where the altar had been constructed and was startled and more than a little horrified to see silhouetted against the darkness of the wall the image of nothing less than a giant white spider. It was like a photographic negative, said Richard. It quickly vanished and did not return. So it wasn't even physical, Scott. That was like, wow. That was like an apparition.
Yeah, it was like it flashed an image of it.
Yeah, it's starting now. It's got
Like
it's
started to manifest, but it just wasn't enough.
not
Ooh.
enough energy yet. In a somewhat similar fashion to the experience of Richard, in the early summer of 2006, I spent a night in the dark woods of Staffordshire's Cannock Chase, England, and specifically in the vicinity of its so-called German cemetery, named after many German prisoners of war who died during the First and Second World Wars and whose bodies were buried there. Now, my reason for being there was simple. Over the course of a few weeks, there had been a spate of reports of large, wolf-like animals seen roaming the fringes of the chase. So I had an idea. Been back in the UK for a while, and having been fascinated by tulpas for years, and like Richard, I engaged in a deep meditation that lasted throughout the dead of night to try to create, in this case, a werewolf. Well, that never goes wrong, Nick. Hey, you know, what happens? You know, the worst that can happen there? Oh my God, you're successful. You've created a werewolf, man. You'd start with a spider. The spider you can stand on. Werewolves, you ever seen those things? Damn, dude.
I like how Nick just went with the full YOLO approach and just said, "We're going all in. Just go for the werewolf,
Hey,
man."
but why do a simple spider when you could go for the full thing? Just get a hellhound here. Come on. At the time, nothing of any significance happened at all. Approximately 12 months later, however, midway through 2007, the local Stafford Post newspaper began to report wildly on sightings of a diabolical-looking creature described by witnesses as a hairy, man-like figure with a wolf's head in the cemetery itself. Were my activities of the previous year successful?
What did you do, Nick? What did you do?
But isn't that interesting, Scott? How it
cemetery
didn't happen right away, right? It's almost as if you kind of throw a thought out there into the whatever that quantum soup is, and once it's out there, there's a chance like this. Not saying this was Nick responsible for this, but I'm thinking you do the meditation, you throw it out there, it's there now, and at some point in the future, and what is it that Richard Allen Miller, again, Doc Miller, he's coming into my mind tonight, because he always says, and I try to take him, try to understand what he's saying. But he so emphatically stresses that we need to be really careful about our own thoughts.
I think,
You know, that might not happen straight away, but it might attract something to you further down the line, Scotty, you know?
well, I think Dr. Miller realizes this. Like he understands the power of intent,
To create.
especially to create, especially on a quantum level. You know what I mean? Like he has that background and that knowledge to really kind of connect what's going on. And so
He trained the special forces in PSI. So if one dude is gonna know, Scott.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And if Dr. Richard Allen Miller is telling you to, hey, be careful what you throw out there, you know, your thoughts and your intent and stuff, you probably should kind of listen to that. I would definitely take that.
Yeah. Rick in the chat room, watch out for the rebound. Exactly. We'll be back for the final segment. Don't go anywhere. There we go. There we go. Yes, indeedy.
While we're on break here, I need to bring up something that maybe we need to talk about next Freaky Friday. Maybe we can touch upon it in the last segment if we have some time. But remember the whole Randonaut thing?
Yeah.
Kev? So it has resurfaced, and
One of the guys in our Discord goes and does it, dude.
there's an app, a
Is it
Randonaut.
Randonautica?
Randonautica, yes. So my mom has been completely obsessed with these videos of people doing the Randonautica stuff.
Has there been people finding bottles of body fluid at any of the locations? I remember when I looked into this when it first came out, that was the weirdness. There was like bottles of body fluid left there.
Now get this. This is because this is starting to get really weird, like getting kind of strange, especially with this app. So people are reporting. So the app tells you to focus, like to think about something before. Okay. So I guess this would tie into the Tulpa stuff as well. So I guess we can touch upon this when we come back.
Oh, we definitely will.
The app tells you to focus on something, to think about something before you go to the location. And then people are like having very, very interesting.
Well, I've only got that much of this story to go, Scott, and then you can get right into Randonautica. I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
It's been a while
like
since we spoke about it, and I didn't realize there was like this. I know Comet Man, who listens to the show, he calls in. He's he brought it up actually a couple of days ago. Randonautica. I think he'd been out actually doing it that day. He seems to thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah, there's a lot here.
Yeah, because it's been in the mainstream news and stuff lately. Like,
you see, now if it's in the mainstream news, that worries me, because that means they're wanting people to look at it, they're wanting people to play it.
That's what I was telling my mom. I was like, okay, see, because I've been very skeptical about it. I've been like, I don't know.
Now that the news are telling you about it,
yeah, but there are some weird things that do need to be talked about, though. I mean, like there are some strange incidents that have occurred.
We like strangeness, Scott.
Yeah, so while I'm on the fence with it, definitely a topic that we can touch upon.
So what you're saying is maybe I should go randonauting tomorrow and film it?
Maybe. My mom would probably enjoy it because she's just been binge watching people on YouTube randonauting using the Randonaut app.
That's it. I'm gonna do it. Heck it. I'm gonna do it. Yep.
You're gonna do it?
I'm all in. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna think to myself, should I go?
You hear that, Mom? If Mom's watching, she might be watching. So if you hear that, Kev's gonna go randonauting, I guess.
I'll do it tomorrow or Sunday, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try my hardest to imagine AOC. Will AOC be there waiting for me, Scott, when I get to the end? Come on, man. Come on.
Now, I'm not sure if the app tells you what to think. Like if it gives you a word that you're supposed to think
if it
about.
starts telling you what to manifest, then I'm out. Because there's definitely shenanigans there, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it tells you. Okay.
Here we go. We'll get into that as soon as I finish this. Here we go. I want to hear more about that.
Okay.
Keep your mind. Whoa, that one. Yeah. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black. Yes, I got the wrong button. Wait a minute, we'll try that again. Yes, there it is. The Wookiee Mandela effect. Wipe out your memory, folks. Just a button. It could have been worse.
Hey, somebody was just tulpa. They were just doing a tulpa of some black goo. They were thinking about black goo, and Kev just had to come in.
I got affected by it, man. But we're going to go into something really cool in just a moment. It's something we've touched on before. And I want to really quickly get through this tulpa story. There's only a little bit left to go now. Scott hit me with something during the break that I really want to hear more about. It's something we've talked about on the show before, and it's just taken a more bizarre and random twist, as I found out during the break. But if we come back over here, it says that, it's on about how this thing manifested a couple of years later. And it says, were my activities of the previous year successful? Did I actually create a Tulpa-style werewolf? Truthfully, I cannot say for certain. What I can say, however, is that there are multiple cases very similar to those of me and Richard, and maybe those who inadvertently see Bigfoot, alien greys, and the Nessie, and I have to agree with that. And again, I don't think it takes away from the fact that all three of those could be real as well, you know?
Yeah. There's really no one thing. The Nessie and the Bigfoot could actually be an entity of some kind that people have physically witnessed. But then when they describe what they've seen to other people and word spreads, then that opens up the possibility of people creating a mass tulpa thing as well around it. So
Dude, I want to move on because I want to get into what you were telling me during the break, right? One of the weirdest things we've covered on one of the streams, might have been 6 months to a year ago, it was something called randonauting. And I talk a lot about simulation theory, if we're in a simulation, and people say, well, if we're in a simulation, that kind of predetermined, really, have we got free will, or is everything kind of determined beforehand? And when you throw in something randonauting, I used to say when we covered it, it's a really good way to mess up the algorithms. Because if you're not into that, then go and do something new. And in this case, go and do something random. Go somewhere you shouldn't be. If it's a simulation, then say you're meant to be, you're typically in the shopping centre on this day of the week, and that's your routine. Well, 1 week, don't do the routine. Go somewhere random. This randonauting thing, it'll give you a GPS or whatever Scott's going to explain in a minute. And you go somewhere you shouldn't be. So that kind of should mess up, glitch the simulation, if that's kind of the way you think. I think it's a kind of cool thought. But Scott, randonauting, and now, I'm just going to pull up the headline here. We've got something called Randonautica, an app. What do we need to know about it, Scott? Talk to us. Randonautica.
Well, apparently it's this app for people that want to go randonauting, right? And it gives them random, I would say, coordinates or number. Look, I haven't personally looked into the app and exactly how it works. I've heard some people say something about quantum, that there's these quantum, that there's a quantum.
Right. I know what it'll be. It'll be a random number generator.
Yeah, that's essentially what it was. Yeah. And it's based off quantum something or whatever. But essentially, it's a random number generator. And people are going around, using this app to go randonauting. Now, the strange thing is that apparently you're supposed to think of something before you go to the location. So, this ties into the whole tulpa thing, I think, in a way, because then it's giving you something to focus on or think about, before you go to the location. Now, I've heard weird stuff like, I'm just basing this off of kind of secondhand information that my mom gave me, but apparently, like, one time somebody, I'm not sure if this thing tells you what to think, like if it gives you a word to focus on before you go, or if it just tells you to focus on something yourself. Now, from what I heard one time, somebody was focusing on the word death. Okay. Now, I don't know why you would want to focus on that word before going to a random location, but apparently that's what happened. And when they got there, where the Randonautic app took them, they found a dead body.
What the? We need to find out if the word is given to you, because let me say this, Scott. I'm quite concerned if you're told to think about something before you get there. I know this sounds weird, folks. Why would Kev? Don't be so stupid. It's nothing. Maybe it's something and nothing. I don't know, but this seems pretty weird now that you're thinking about something. And the story you said there, thinking of that word, and then that turns up where you go to. This almost feels like it's some kind of, like, almost a scientific test to see if we do have the ability to manifest things.
Wonder, yeah, I mean, like, it's weird.
You feel that as well? As almost like, right, come on, will we try it? Can we actually pinpoint and get people to go and manifest stuff?
Maybe, yeah. There's also been a lot of weird experiences where people said that they have been followed while using the app.
You see, that's another thing that worries me as well. Big time.
Like while they're driving to the location or that they've been followed by vehicle, like a vehicle would be trailing them or something. There's just a lot of weirdness going around with people using this app, and it makes you wonder. Yeah, so it's
dude, this is good,
taking
man.
The random thing to a different level, and the fact that it's kind of resurfaced because, like I said, it's been like what, almost a year.
Must be a year, Scott. Yeah.
Since we actually like talked about randonauting in the, in the kind of the frame of glitching the matrix. It was way back when we were talking about simulation theory and all of that stuff, and that's when the randonauting.
Because we thought it would be a good way to glitch it, almost like be the glitch,
Go to a place that you're not supposed to be in the simulation, and you essentially find an exploit, and you can glitch the system. But now, I mean, this whole randonauting thing has taken on a whole kind of weird, disturbing, turn to it as far as people using this app and telling people to kind of focus on a word or think about a certain thing before they go, and then they're like getting there, and what they were thinking about.
Yeah, I was checking my channel there, but I'm on the wrong channel. I'm on KBS2. It was on the main channel we done it. I'll find out the date of it. But I'm going to read a little bit of this article then.
Let's got to say about it, because it's starting to pop in mainstream kind of articles and stuff.
That's what I was saying to you during the break. When something's on the mainstream, there can be various reasons for it. But something like this is going to have a Streisand effect, where people that have never heard of this before, news talk about it, people are going to try it, And
is this a way of, like you said, is it a mass test?
Mm-hmm.
So they want to push it out in the mainstream, so everybody goes and tries this randonauting thing in order so that they can get more data points or figure out what, yeah, I don't know, man.
This is cool. If you all have, if all you have are big bouts of boredom and a smartphone, everything looks like an adventure. Such is the theory behind Randonautica, an app that generates random coordinates near your current location and sends you on your adventuring way. The app picked up steam in late June after TikTok user Henry posted a video in which randonauting led them to find a deleted person passed away. Yes, not a hoax. This may lead you to the inevitable question, is randonauting safe? In short, randonauting is as safe as you make it. So the Randonautica app, which the site states is still in its beta version, asks you to share your location, set an intention. So you set the intention. So
Okay.
hang on a minute, right? It gives you a location. You put into that what you want to manifest. And so somebody somewhere is getting... Somebody knows the locations that have been randomly generated. And you're telling me that there's also people then that have been doing randonauting and they find themselves getting followed by people? Dude, this is like weird.
Yeah, this is it, dude. I don't know. Like I said, we'll have to go through this article because I don't know the whole thing like about what.
You
Like
see
okay,
what I'm
so
saying?
when
You see what I'm saying there, though, Scott? Imagine there's like a Randonautica office in Glasgow, right? They don't tell anyone. You just go for like a marketing job or something, and then you find out people are playing in Glasgow. They put in an intention. You've got a bit of a head start. Almost. You can almost game that. You can game the people in the game.
I was kind of wondering that, like, okay, so yeah, I mean, but
You
then
see
how so, but how
know.
feasible is that? Because then if you ended up having millions and millions of people using the app, you're not going to have the resources.
No,
to
exactly.
find
No,
every-
you're right, dude. You're right.
So I don't.
What if it's if you get enough people playing?
And when it says set your intention, does that necessarily mean you have to type the intention into the app, or does it just tell you to think about something?
I know.
If you're just thinking about something, then at that point it doesn't know what your intention is. But if it tells you,
All he's
insert a-
saying that the app maybe sucks more than one person is going to the same spot. Could well be. It could be. You would hope with it being random. It's only as random as you think it is. You know,
yeah,
there could be multiple people going there. Let's see what else it says, though, right? It says,
Yeah.
the Randonautica app, which the site states is still in beta. Yep. Set an intention, give you directions. What will you find at your destination? Theoretically, something related to your intention. So, well, confirmation bias could come into this as well, of course. You know, your intention's a bottle of whiskey. You get somewhere and there's an empty bottle. Just been discarded, you know.
there's definitely a lot of that as play as well. Where you think of a generic word and you look around yourself at the location, you're gonna find something that probably correlates.
But it doesn't
that.
take away the. No, I'm not taking the weirdness away. I'm just trying to make it. You know. So, like any app that has you venturing in the real world, i.e., Pokemon Go, you are responsible for being mindful of your own surroundings. Just as you wouldn't knock on a stranger's door saying you were trying to catch a Jigglypuff, you shouldn't go randonauting anywhere you otherwise wouldn't feel uncomfortable. Randonautica gives you 10 tips to being a responsible randonaut, including stick to randonauting during the daytime, don't trespass on private property, avoid dangerous areas, go with a group of friends, and make sure your phone is charged. I'm sorry, but surely after you've got the coordinates and where you need to go. Now, I get it, you should have your phone maybe for safety purposes, but it almost sounds like they want to track you on your way there. I don't know. Negative intentions are highly discouraged, the site also states. In other words, the app isn't encouraging you to creep into the insidious corners of your neighbourhood. Randonauting abides by a good vibes only mindset. Yeah, great vibes that day when they wished for that deletion and found one. If you're concerned about your own privacy, Randonautica states, in fact, if you actually believe you've still got any modicum of privacy, you need help. Randonautica states that they don't collect user data. Oh, is it a free app? Is it a free app? Yes, it is. So I'm sorry, somebody's getting paid somewhere, and this is data mining, big time. So the only data that is stored on the server are user reports and data about the generated points, and anyone else who's stealing any of the information between here and there. Just saying. This does not include your starting point. They don't require you to link to any existing social media accounts or input any personal information. They don't need that. Once you're on the phone, they've got it all. So your data remains completely anonymous. I'm only joking, folks. I've got no reason to believe. Well, I do. They all do it. There have been some rumours that the app has been used for... Oh, my goodness. I'm not even going to read that out. However, there have been no credible reports, no crap. Probably the Reddit detectives and the Facebook forensic experts have been on that one. However, there have been no credible reports linking Randonautica with any cases of this. Oh, wow. Because the locations are randomly generated and not pre-selected, the site states there's no way for a predator or any other unsavory character to wait for users at the locations. Well, that's okay then. So if you're looking for to kill the boredom, there's a beginner's guide to randonauting. Yes. I don't know, dude. Like, there's a picture there of, like, I'm thinking it's a female alone on a wooded path. It's the kind of picture I would use for a promo for Freaky Friday with a big hairy hand coming in.
I was just about to say, you know those kind of clickbaity things where it's like 10 pictures taken right before disaster or deletion. That's the picture that was taken right before 411 went down.
Yeah.
That.
Well, when her husband turned round again, she wasn't there. I'm just saying. My mum is messaging me. Let's see what's happening. Oh, she's away tomorrow. She's away tomorrow to Oban. If you're in Scotland, you know what Oban's like. It's nice. It's on the west coast. Hope she gets a nice day. Have a nice, safe drive, Mum. Me and Scott will drive the show home to the finishing line now.
Have a good day, Pearl.
Mm-hmm. She'll be absolutely delighted. She loves you to bits, man. You're one of the few. One of the few, by the way. Trust me. My old dear is hard to impress that way, dude.
So is Mama Lopez.
Some of my mates, they were brilliant guys, best mates I've had, but if my mum didn't take to them, oh, what, man? They're just a nightmare, you know. I'd have to be going to meet somebody else. So don't be hanging about with that one. They're bad news. You know what pisses me off even more? Hindsight, wonderful thing. 9 times out of 10, she was right. Damn it. She was right.
It's that mother's intuition, man.
Oh, thanks, Scotty. Scotty. Oh, yes, indeed. Oh. So then, I'm really fascinated by this now, dude, especially now that Tana's found that there's... I know Tana isn't gorging and binge-watching randonauting videos if there ain't a good bit of payoff with woo in there, Scott. And if there's a good payload of woo...
One of the guys she follows, he does ghost hunting, you know, he decided to dab his toe into the randonauting thing, and it took him to a location, and I guess it was a big scene. They had to cut out the guy's face, and there's a whole police investigation going on. As he got to the location, some guy ran up to him and said, I'm here to kill somebody. And then I guess the video ended there, and the video he ended up finishing the video. He was at his house and his knuckles were all bloody. He ended up getting a fight with this dude, like some crazy that just was at the location. he had to get in a big brawl with this guy and all of that. So
Nah.
I mean,
Nah, I'm going to tell people right now, I don't think you should be messing with this. I don't know why. I really don't know why.
one thing weird about the app, I think there's like this whole different like, okay, the rando nodding thing in general.
Yeah,
I
when
thought
you were
was
doing it, yeah, when they were doing it themselves, type of thing, Scott.
when
You know.
you're doing it yourself
Yeah.
and you're picking a random location and going there. But now we've got this app that's like telling you to focus your intent before you go.
And then there's somebody waiting for you in this instance.
in some in some instances, I mean, I don't know what the ratio of weird to nothing actually happening is, where people are just using this thing, go into a location, they're like, oh, okay, there's nothing here, and then they're just leaving. I mean, it makes me wonder what the percentage of people that are actually having weird experiences with this are, as opposed to just kind of I don't know, man. But just from what I've heard so far, I mean, we've already had somebody stumble up across a deceased individual, which is
I'm doing it. I'm doing it tomorrow.
Do it. We'll see where it takes you in the lovely
Somebody in
smart
the
city.
chat room says the CIA. I think the CIA have got more important things to worry about than that. But I do think there's something nefarious to this. I do. I don't know what yet. People are thinking, well, Kev, if there's something nefarious, that why on earth's name are you considering it? Because that's how we roll on here, folks. It's your fly-on-the-wall journey into either my awakening or my insanity. One of the two. Either way, it's a good journey, right?
Hey, Paulie, is that real? Did that really do that? He said he tried it once and his intent was money and it led him to a bank.
This is
It's pretty
I
interesting.
love it. I love it, dude. This is crazy cool. I don't know why it's so crazy cool. I can't put my finger on it yet, but it's crazy cool, right?
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I mean, it ties in with the Tulpa stuff where you're focusing your intent on something. It reminds me of like the experiments that Art Bell and George Norrie would do on Coast to Coast, to where they would tell the audience to think about rain in a specific location, right? And then lo and behold, like the next day, the location, it would end up raining in that location, that like maybe that was getting a drought or something. And
that was Donnie from Down Under. He's got a story like that. It was absolutely one of these like dry periods in the bush. I don't know if it was when the fires were on. Big man, he'd done ceremony, wished for the waters.
Yeah.
I remember him telling me, like, nearly washed the place away that it was in. It like totally backfired, Scott. It was like, whoa, you got to watch when you wish for these things, because, dang, dude, it doesn't just rain, it brings a deluge, you know? Luna's laughing away in the chat room. She's sitting there laughing. She'll be like, oh, Kev, what you like, you know?
Hey, it's the same, what the Aborigines were doing with that. It's the same as the Native American rain dance.
Yep.
Right? They're focusing their intent. They're focusing their intention. It's a ceremony. It's a ritual, and they're focusing on bringing rain to a specific location. And if they can, and I would say that they've been able to do that.
There you go, Luna. Yes, it flooded. See, Luna, I do pay attention. I do. I know I look goofy and like I'm not paying attention, but I do. But I'm going to read a little bit of this. In fact, I'm not. I've just noticed the time. We're going to get back into Randonauting to kick off next Freaky Friday, I think. And
yeah.
Paulie's going to join us one Freaky Friday as well, Paulie Nation. And I think when we have the guys back on, Andy and Jason will go for a major round table. We'll go for we'll have the talking stick, #1 in the chat room. We'll go back to those rules apply, Scotty. It's like going full circle. Remember we used to do that right at the start? And we got all pro and we don't need to do that now, and we crash over the top of each other and we sound unprofessional. And so yeah, we'll get that organised. But folks, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. It's been a real good one. Scotty boy has given me lots to think about. It's just approaching 3 a.m. over here in the UK. I want it to be morning. I really am tempted to go and do this. Very tempted, Scott.
Robin in the chat said that they're not using an app to manifest, right? No, they're not. I'm just talking about the intent.
Yep.
You know, the intent of it. You know, the app tells you to focus on something, and if you're focusing on something and you're thinking about going to that location, then possibly you're gonna manifest that. You know, it's the same. It's just intent, really, is all it is.
Yep.
Is,
It's the same as, you know, it's kind of why, in a way, I've kind of changed the way things roll on KBS. I've tended to concentrate more on these topics, the stuff I enjoy, not the stuff that stresses you out, not these big stories that are designed to trigger you, because, you know, you end up looking at that too long and thinking about it, and you start manifesting all that kind of energies around you, you know. You become, literally, you stare into the abyss long enough and think about it long enough, Scott, you become it.
That's literally where that term comes from.
Yep.
You know, you focus on something for too long, you end up becoming it. You end up manifesting it.
Perfect. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Didn't touch that dial. Brent Thomas is on the way. Well, Mr. Lopez, that was... Oh, it's not working. Oh, is it coming through now?
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you are. There you are. You've glitched out, man. Oh, look at that. What is that all about?
It's
Scott,
fine on my end.
Scott, I swear, right? I haven't been, like, sitting here trying to get you to disintegrate or, like, disappear slowly. I promise I've not manifested this.
Dude, that looks kind of cool, actually. What a cool... That's kind of a cool glitch.
Kind of crazy effect, isn't it?
That is.
You better watch
Wow.
the cancel culture. Don't come after you, Scott. Just saying.
Yeah, it's looking...
Cancel Lopez. Cancel Lopez. But folks, thank you all so much. Luna,
what
listen.
the heck?
Luna, honestly, you're saying wow. It's you guys in the chat room and the ones that tune in that I seriously think, with you all focusing on the show, talking about the stuff we're talking about, you can't talk about tulpas and intentions and that energetic kind of quantum entanglement that we all have, and then not think that the audience doesn't play a part in this show. Absolutely they have to. Scott's having fun with this glitch that's happening over there. I'm getting kind of deep and philosophical about drawing on the intentions of our mass gathering, Scotty, and let's say focusing it all into this smorgasbord, this morass, this cornucopia of the woo.
Kev's getting all deep and philosophical while I'm just kind of glitching into oblivion over here.
Then I can get like, look at the state of the hair. It's coming out the side of my hat, dude. I swear I'm like bloody Tom Hanks on Castaway Island. So anyway, I will be back tomorrow. Saturday? Are we doing something tomorrow? Will we do something tomorrow, Scott? Will we?
Hey, if you go randonauting tomorrow, you need to give me an update when we do the stream.
If I go randonauting, I will be filming it. Yes, randonauting sounds like good content. We can get that up. That's something different, something new. I'll probably trigger people who say I'm part of the problem.
Do you know already what your intent is going to be? What's your...
What would my intent be? To meet somebody? No, you wouldn't want to meet somebody. Dang, dude.
See, you got to be careful what your intent is, because I wonder how many people have, like, just not even thought about it. You know, like,
I know.
just
That's why I'm sitting here. I'm very conscious of what I'm going to think of, because you got to watch out here. You know.
Yeah, it's so people just they don't have that where they just kind of go, oh, Maybe I
I don't
shouldn't have
want to
thought of
wish
that.
for anything financial. I think that backfires karmically.
Mm,
What could I wish for that wouldn't benefit me, but somebody else?
food, maybe.
Maybe a homeless person. I could buy them a cup of tea. Imagine wanting to
I don't know.
manifest a homeless person. That's horrible. That's horrible, man. I'm trying to think of something I could do, something that would be there that I could like say, well, that was kind of cool. That was good. Flowers. I would want flowers to be there. I want flowers.
Okay.
Yeah, just flowers. There's nothing that too bad can come from that. I wouldn't think.
Watch it be like some poisonous, undiscovered species of flower
Yeah,
that
probably, man. It's got like murder
shoots
hornets.
acid.
Yeah, it's
or
probably got a
something.
murder hornet nest on it or something.
Oh my god.
Lance,
No, I don't know. You'll have to
Lance
think about
is right. A pint. A pint. Yeah, I want a pint. I want a pint of lager. I've not had a pint of lager in months. Oh my god, I want to do for a pint of lager. Oh, to see that cold, wet liquid forming on the outside of the glass, Scott, just slowly dripping down it.
see how
Jesus. Oh, that little half-inch white foamy head. Oh, dude, I need a pint. Oh my god.
detailed your thought is on it.
Oh.
Focus on a pint tomorrow when you go rando nodding. And what if it's to a,
Don't,
what if it's
Scott, don't.
to
I've got it. It's it.
Damn, have you focus on it enough that might just manifest here on camera before everybody, man. Before
A
you,
flash of a pint glass comes up. Where'd that come from? I know my After Effects is good, folks, but I can't do it that good. I can't just do it on the fly. Blah. Oh, dearie me. Right, folks. Me and Scott will be back tomorrow if Scotty's free. I'm definitely going to try and do this. Anne's off tomorrow as well. Gives an excuse to get out the house. Sam, tomorrow, my good friend, I was informed today reliably that my barber is open for business. Now, I don't know what varying degree of PPE clothing I'll need to wear to get in there to get said Edward Scissorhands at my head. But whatever hoops I have to jump through, I'm there because you don't, it's not, I can't even show you what's on top of my head anymore. I can't. So what I'm going to go and do now is I'm going to go and lie on the sofa. I'm going to manifest lots of beer. I'm going to get slightly imaginary drunk. Don't know, dude. Just when I started thinking about that, God, a pint of beer, man, just to order, just to go into a pub, see another human. I've only seen the same humans for like 4 months, dude. It's been hell. I love them to death. I do. I love Anne and the wee man, but when you're only seeing them day after day, and I'm confined, it's solitary confinement, I'm so hard done by, dude. All I want's a pint of lager.
maybe this Randonautica app will
She's taking me for a pint tomorrow. Oh, there's a pint app. See how I manifested the pint.
manifested a pint. There you go. So either way, whether you went on the Randonautica or not,
You see,
you
people in the chat room, that's how you do it. You sit here, oh, you have to describe it really, really good. Oh, I could almost feel that water dripping over my hands at one point, Scott.
it'll be everything you imagined, Kev, and more.
I do hope so. I do hope so. But big shout out to everyone down under in Australia, all the way around to Alaska, Norway to Nebraska. Oh, I love that, Scott. That's pretty cool, right? I've got my own shtick for going out now on the show and everything, man. And you know that little
keep your mind
there
open.
Scott has given me the best idea ever for souping up that little outro. It's gonna freak people out. It's gonna trigger other people. There'll be some that say I've merged with Satan itself. What am I talking about? You'll need to come back tomorrow or the next day and the next day and the next day to find out, because Yes, I'm not going to give it away. You need to keep coming back to find out more. I'm good like that, Scott, right?
Here's
Tell
a
them it's good though, isn't it?
yes. Oh, yes. Very, very good. Very good. Here's a disturbing intent for you to focus on if you're gonna go randonauting. Focus on Joe Joseph.
Can we manifest Joda? Can we? Can we manifest Joe? Imagine, dude, imagine you're walking around the corner and there he is, big, goofy, smiley Joe. Stood on the end of the arc. Oh, it's coming. The rains are coming. Oh, dang, dude. So anyway, listen. Again, thanks all for being here. Myself and Scotty. We'll be back on tomorrow in some way, shape, or form. I really want to go and do this. I want you all to head on over to the paranormal portal. It's starting right now. Lance Muir, you are an absolute gentleman. Thank you to all the super chats today. Like I was saying at the start of the show, getting into a bit of a beef on Twitter with one of the grifters, and I don't promise you anything that I can't deliver here. I do live streaming, I do the shows over on TFR. I'm not going to save anyone. I'm not going to solve the mysteries of the universe. What you see is what you get. And what comes in goes back into the stream. So I hope you enjoy it.
2 pints coming up.
Damn, dude. Whoa. Is it like $10 a pint over in America? Mind you, it is about that here now as well. So anyway, we're out of here, folks. You keep it real. Until next time, tomorrow that will be. Here we go. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. But since that's kind of really depressing, maybe we need something upbeat to take us out today. Yes, indeed. After all of that, I think we'll have our old, reliable KBS music to play us out of here. Keep it real, folks. Keep looking for your woo. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll be letting you know all about the randonauting and my pint of lager. Until then, I love you loads. Keep your minds open. Think for yourself. Don't let others think for you. And remember, in the end of the day, it's just a ride. Come on, everyone sings along with this, right? Yeah, I definitely agree with the chat. I think we need somebody musical to come along, drop some bass in there, get some drums going, soup it up, have a bit of me rapping through it. Okay, I ruined it there. We're out of here, folks. Have a good night, a good day, good afternoon, wherever you are. Yes, we're out of here. Until next time.